Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in this episode of The Real, taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. Hopefully better than you were after the game today. Yeah, welcome on into the Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. If you're new here, please subscribe for me. Hit the like button on the way in. It's the best way you can support this channel. I'd really appreciate that. Where do we begin today? Yeah, that's a great question because we got a lot to get into tonight. As the Browns fall again, another loss, this time to the Washington Commanders. 34-13 on the road. They lose to the Commanders. Bad loss to the Browns. Bad loss yet again today. That's all I can say is bad. Everything was just bad today. The game was bad. Everything, the interactions on the sideline were bad today. Everything was just bad today. So I'm going to give a quick take on my thoughts, not really on the game today because not really much to discuss. I mean, I think they were like 1 for 11 on third down or something like that. It was terrible. Deshaun, a bunch of sacks again today. Now they're 26 sacks for the season. We know the story already. You know, they can't convert on third down. Their offense has been horrible. The defense has some holes this year, but I think a lot of the defense's problems just they're on the field too much. And I think the locker room right now is deflated. I think the spirit of the team is low. I think I saw guys out there today making business decisions because they don't believe in what they're doing right now in terms of the team, the coaching. And I'll just start here. So the topic of the main topic of the show tonight is going to be clearly big changes need to be made in Berea, right? We all can agree on that. Now, what changes need to be made? I don't know. There's going to be difference of opinions tonight. I'm sure everybody's going to have their own opinion on what they should do. Should Deshaun go? Should Kevin go? Should Andrew Berry go? Should Paul DePodesta go along with him as well? Who actually was at the game today, believe it or not? Paul DePodesta. We actually saw him for once. So that was nice. But here's my take on the game today. The only thing I want to talk about on the game today is this scene here. Sports Illustrated already has a article up about it. Deshaun Watson, Kevin Stefanski yelled at each other as the Browns fall apart. I'm sure if you guys haven't seen it today, I'll play it again right here. I believe they have it in the article. So this whole sequence here in the third quarter, so they have a bad first half. The Browns come out, they have the ball off a turnover. They got the ball. It's the probably best field position they've had all game. And you're thinking, okay, maybe they score here. Still got a whole second half of play. Maybe something can happen. Wouldn't bet on it, but you never know. So this whole, as you can see here, this gentleman, Roberto Shenanigans, great name. He put the amount of confusion and dysfunction on these two plays in the red zone is astounding. Forget the same page. Stefanski and Watson aren't even in the same book right now. These two are now visibly arguing on the field. This is bad. And I saw this all game. The body language between Watson, the body language between Kevin Stefanski and the players, just the body language all around. Amari Cooper, bad body language. The offense is visibly showing the tension now, and it's showing on the sidelines now, and it shows on this play right here. And I'm gonna play this play again if you haven't seen it. Some people, the reason why I say it is because some people actually didn't watch the game today because they're already tapped out of the season. Do I blame them? Hell to the no. I only watch because I do the show at night. Other than that, there's a lot of part. I'm outside walking around, looking at other stuff on my phone. That's where we are now as Browns fans. It's the most disinteresting team I think I've ever seen at this point in the season. even more than 0-16, in my opinion, even more than 2019. I've never seen it like this early amongst fans where they're not even watching games, which shows you why they need to make, or tells you why they need to make a change. But again, if you haven't seen the play or the sequence, so they come out on the first down here. You see, it'll be first and goal in the first play here, and there's clearly confusion between Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski. Deshaun starts yelling at the sideline. They have to burn a timeout. They come out. They run 3 plays rather. They get the fourth and goal, and they're fourth and goal. They're going for it, obviously, and Deshaun's standing out there, and I think they had 10 guys or 12 guys on the field. They didn't have 11 guys out there, and it's a personnel issue from the sideline, and that goes to the sideline. When you have substitution problems, it's supposed to be your coach's jobs on the sideline to make sure the right people, because guess what? The play caller is the one that's calling the play, so he should make sure the right personnel is substituting in. But they didn't do that. They're unorganized like they've been all season. How about that? And so Deshaun Watson's standing out there. He's yelling again. He's looking at the sideline. He's like this, and the play clock's running down. He can't go hike the ball, because if he does, guess what? It's a penalty, because the people on the sideline can't get it right with the substitute and getting the right amount of personnel in, which is their job, not the quarterback's job while he's on the field. You should be able to trust your coaching staff on the sideline to get their shit together and get the right personnel out there on the play they're calling. But guess what? They didn't. And so what does Deshaun do? And I laugh because I've never seen anything like it. Deshaun just walks off the field. I mean, the play clock's running down. Kevin's about to burn a timeout. Again, I think Deshaun initially stopped at Kevin. I think Kevin whispered to them that we're just going to kick a field goal and we'll just take the penalties. That's why Deshaun kept walking. So I don't know if you can technically say he walked off the field per se, but he was visibly upset, and it wasn't his fault in that sequence. Now, did Deshaun play great today? No, he didn't play good at all. He missed some guys. He wasn't seeing the field well again. Getting pressured a lot, couldn't really set his feet on a lot of throws, and just didn't really find a rhythm at the beginning of the game. But this whole team, though, just did not look into the game from the jump. And it looks like our locker room to me right now, I see a bunch of guys, like I said, that are already checked out. Now, they checked out on their coach, or they checked out on the seat. I mean, they just look like they're checked out. And so, did they not want to be here? I don't know. But again, here's the sequence. I'm going to play it again. If you haven't seen it, you need to be refreshed. Unbelievable sequence here. Let's take a look.
Sack or some real big negative play. You have to imagine Kevin Stefanski's got to treat this opportunity as
at the top of the formation. And this one, they're not going to get off either. They'll call a timeout. 2 steps forward, 1
First
step
short
back.
Timeout. Cleveland, 30-second timeout.
Yeah, you take a false start, you get a full play clock. When they had first and goal, I don't think they imagined fourth down being from the 8.
They're 20 already, and here comes the crowd.
They can't waste another timeout here, can they?
Looks like they're gonna.
Oh my God, Kevin Stefanski has to be sick.
You saw the look in his eye when he saw Watson coming to the sideline. You could take the delay and kick the field goal.
Delay game.
Yeah, you got to do that.
5-yard penalty. Fourth down.
Yeah, it's smart by Stefanski. His opportunity to go for it on fourth down went out the window. The second Deshaun Watson started walking off the field, you just can't blow a second timeout.
You also can't not score a touchdown.
Take away a couple completions back-to-back to Amari Cooper. You got first and goal, and you go false start.
Frustration is starting to mount for Cleveland.
Yeah, frustration was definitely starting to mount. Wow. I mean, watching that again, it's just kind of like you just see there's a disconnect clear between Stefanski and Watson. They are not on the same page, like the tweet said. Listen, man, these two can't go together moving forward. But the crazy part about it is I don't think either one has performed well enough this season to have any leverage in who stays. I don't think Deshaun Watson's played well enough yet. And I don't think Kevin Stefanski's done a great coaching job. Matter of fact, I think this is Kevin's worst coaching job of his career so far in Cleveland this season. Guys are out of shape. They look unorganized. Most penalized team in the league. Can he make substitutions today? Guys come in the game, they look very unprepared. He replaced Bill Callahan, who was your run game coordinator, not just your offensive line coach. Replaced your run game coordinator with a guy who's never coached in the NFL, a guy from UConn. I don't even know his name. That's on him. He made that coaching hire. Okay. Now, the Alex Van Pelt firing and bringing in Ken Dorsey, I don't think Kevin made that choice personally. I've said that all along. I think the people upstairs made that choice. But again, you brought in a guy from UConn to replace Bill Callahan, your run game coordinator, who's in charge of your running scheme and stuff, which has been absolute good dog shit this year. Your run schemes are horrible. And the play, even Greg Olsen pointed out to him one of the run plays how just bad the design was, the protection and pass pro. I mean, everything just looked bad. The scheme, everything's horrible. The preparation, game planning is absolute garbage. And so, but again, Kevin hasn't done a good job either this year. And Deshaun Watson obviously doesn't look like the elite quarterback they need him to be, at least a franchise quarterback or serviceable at the times. And so he looks, sometimes when I watch Deshaun now, like a lot of people, he just looks out of it. He looks not confident. He just looks like he's checked out. He looked like that today. And then that sequence there, I mean, that's on the coaching staff right there to not, you can't get the right personnel subbed in twice in one time, twice in the same drive. You can't get it right. That's on the sideline. You're the one calling in the play. You're the one that's supposed to make sure the right guys are checking in the game. That's why you always see coaches calling guys out. I mean, I'm somebody that's been on a sideline before, not at the NFL level, but that's like common, that's like basic fundamental to like the high school, middle school level of subbing guys in, having the right personnel on the field. Football has to have 11 guys on the field, Kevin. Okay? We can't even get that right. I mean, it's that bad. And then the rest of the game was just an absolute shit show. And so where do they go from here? Is why I put that on the thing there. Because clearly change has to be made. These two can't coexist together. Kevin Stefanski, Deshaun Watson. And I look around this whole organization right now. I don't think anybody's safe. That's just my opinion. Listen, I think Andrew Berry's done a nice job drafting some defensive guys, but his overall draft, when you go back and really look at it, I've had to really go back and evaluate the last 2 weeks and be honest with myself, at my own personal opinion, he has not done the greatest job. A lot of their key guys were identified by John Dorsey. Now, where John Dorsey didn't do a good job, in my opinion, as was identifying the right head coach. That was his downfall. But John Dorsey could identify talent, especially stars. And our star players on our team, those of them outside of JOK, were identified by Mr. Dorsey, our key guys, foundational core guys, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, David Njoku, those kinds of guys, Denzel Ward. But outside of JOK, everybody else under his drafting, like Greg Newsome, I've never thought Greg Newsome was a star personally. I think he's always been a little overhyped. Good player, but he's not worth maybe paying certain money. MJ Emerson's a guy I was always high on. Digressed this year. Does not look the same. Grant Delpit, I think, is good, but sometimes today didn't have a great game. Missing tackles. He's hit and miss sometimes. Defensive line, not great. Zadarius Smith's a big disappointment. Agbo Okaranko, a guy who I was high on last year, I thought had the decent plays at times. No show this year. I haven't even heard his name on the TV yet, and I know he had a couple sacks, but couldn't tell, didn't see it. The offensive line, the guys that digressed. I mean, everything in this whole experiment with the last 4 years, with this whole, I call it the DePodesta, Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski experiment. It just really hasn't popped, in my opinion. The farthest they've made it, I mean, Kevin Stefanski really hasn't won a playoff game. And yeah, he was a coach. He was in the basement. He wasn't there coaching. The 2 playoffs games he's coached, they lost to Kansas City with Chad Henne on the field, and they got waxed by Houston last year. I keep hearing all these people talking about, well, Joe Flacco, bring back Flacco. They can look at this stuff. Folks, they lost 45-14. Okay, there was no future with that team last year. I get it's the best we had. That shows you how bad we were, because you really go back and look at it compared to other people's teams. That wasn't shit. Okay, it was lightning in a bottle for whatever 7 games it was, and when it mattered most, we shit the bed, because it's not really as good as we thought it was. So it's enough with the Flacco stuff. Jameis Winston's not coming to save your season. He can't even catch a snap today when he came out there. That's the guy we're going to throw out, a journeyman. Well, yeah, he's going to come save our season. DTR is not an NFL quarterback, okay? He's 6 foot, 5'11", and he's already got hurt in his career. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's too small. Yeah, let's throw him out there behind that offense line. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? No. So all this bullshit I've been hearing online after the game from these idiots that don't know what the hell they're talking about, and I hate to be like that, but it's just like, and I don't want to say idiots. I don't mean to get upset, but it's just like, we're not pointing the finger in the right direction. And yes, Deshaun Watson has been not good at all this year at times. He's had one good game against the Raiders. Other than that, he hasn't been good at all. But this whole thing is an absolute dumpster fire. Okay? It's a dysfunctional dumpster fire. And in order to fix it, you got to tear it down. You got it out. You got to rebuild it. It's not going to work. All right? In my opinion, it's not going to work. You're not going anywhere with this. So it's time to gut it down, time to rebuild, time to get people in here to actually know football, and time to get people in here that actually can draft, identify talent maybe. I don't know. I just I don't get it. We're trying to fix something that's not fixable, in my opinion. I don't think you can fix it with Kevin Stefanski anymore. He doesn't want to give up play calling. He needs to go. All right. He can't be a head coach and a play caller. It's the same thing I've said all along. He can't do both. He can't manage both, clearly. The substitution stay on the sideline today proves that. He can't manage the game. All right? If you can't call plays and be a head coach because you can't manage it all, then you shouldn't be doing it to begin with. And why would you bring in a guy I don't think Kevin actually hired Ken Dorsey or fired Alex Van Pelt, but if you're going to bring in a guy, whose smart idea was it? Was it the analytical department? Was it I mean, who made this? Who decided to, hey, let's bring in a new offense. But guess what? We want you to still call the plays of an offense you've never called before. I mean, what kind of sense does that make? It's like I said last week. He's like Kevin Stefanski's offense his whole career. It was like he was a chef at an Italian restaurant, and we pulled him out of that Italian restaurant and put him in a Mexican restaurant. And the first night, said, okay, we need you to cook all this. Go ahead and cook. You're the chef. Go ahead and cook. Even though you worked at Italian, but now we're going to put you in Mexican, and we're just going to throw you in the fire on something you've never cooked before, different ingredients, different spices, different everything, different flavor, different culture. We want you to call that play. We want you to call those plays. What kind of sense does that make? He's trying to call plays and an offense he has no business calling plays in because he's never had the experience calling it. So, of course, it's not going to work. And so, again, people really shouldn't be surprised that this is a dumpster fire to begin with because it was set up to be a dumpster fire this year. It's what I was telling you a month ago on my show. I mean, what are we talking about? Guys don't play in the preseason. Guys are coming out of shape. I hear people talking about how bad Deshaun looked in I know Zach Jackson, who I've actually met before in person, great, nice guy. He talked about how bad Deshaun did look good in training camp. I would ask Zach, did the whole training camp look bad? Because that whole training camp had been the worst training camp that ever occurred in that facility. Honestly, even more worse than at least the 0-16 team was competitive and played hard and fought and didn't give up. They just weren't good. But, I mean, they never quit. I mean, they were in a lot of games that year. They just lost them. But, this team, what were they doing in training camp? I mean, honestly, what were they doing? Did they I don't get it. I mean, shout out to Tearden. No sense at all. I am, I'm frustrated at all aspects of this team. I appreciate the chat, and I agree with you. I'm frustrated too. That's why I went off a little bit earlier. I mean to call people idiots. I apologize for that. I was getting a little emotional there for a minute. But I'm just tired of seeing people online giving these people a pass. I get Kevin's cool. He's a nice guy. We like him. But you don't keep people around because they're cool, and you don't just getting rid of Deshaun's not going to solve your problem. And what I would ask those people is this: okay, so you believe everything they told you, right? Because you believe you believe everything you hear. You believe it. So let's put it that way. By your logic, the people out there that say that just getting rid of Deshaun's going to fix all the problems, or at least make us more competitive, allegedly. With a 6-foot quarterback that really is not an NFL quarterback, and a journeyman's going to come in and save the day. That's going to be so much better with this offensive line. Not. And the slowest receivers in the league. But anyways, so by your logic, well, if you think Kevin and Andrew Berry are okay, and Paul DePodesta in the this department here, as I call them now, if you think these people are not to blame and just get Deshaun out of here, well, guess what? If you believe everything they told you, that they made the decision to bring in Deshaun Watson, that they wanted to move on from Baker Mayfield, that they wanted to go all in on this, that they wanted to change the offense, that Kevin allegedly wanted to fire Alex Van Pelt and bring in Ken Dorsey and replace Bill Callahan as run game coordinator with a guy from UConn that's never coached in the NFL, then where's the blame on them? Because guess what? They allowed it. They're the ones that decided to do all this. But you have no blame for them. So let's pin it all on one guy, get him the hell up out of here, and say he's just bad and he's no good. But the people that made the decisions, you believe what they tell you, right? The people that made the decisions, they get a pass. They're good. Making it to the wild card game, we're satisfied with that. With Joe Flacco and get our asses kicked 45-14, or letting Chad Henne beat us in a playoff game. That's okay. That's our standard now, right? It's bullshit. You know it is. And so I'm sorry. That's complete bullshit if you believe that. That's not going to fix your problem. Your problem is deeper than just the quarterback. You have a bad foundation. Look around the field. Why are guys so out of shape? Why is your team the most penalized team in the league? Why do the pieces not fit out there together on the field? Who put that together? Hello? Somebody answer the question for me? Because all I hear is a bunch of people talking on the internet, but they don't give any solutions about it. They just all it's all the easy talking points because they want to be liked. Nobody wants to be disliked, right? We got to get the Twitter approves of, we like Stefanski. He wears dunks on the sideline and stuff. He's cool. And we like Paul DePodesta and the geeks. I mean, give me a break. This shit is a joke. People, I mean, if you can't see what the real problem is, people, that it's beyond your personnel, then I don't know what else to tell you. Go root for another team. Honestly, I don't know what to say. I'm done. Sorry for my rant. Mike?
Hello.
Sorry for my long rant, Mike.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Feel a lot better now, feel like a therapy session. We got Jersey in the house as well.
My rant's going to be very different than yours.
I hope. And we got Fire Stefanski in the house as well. Mike, I'm interested in what you got to say, Mike. I'm going to bring you guys back up in a second. I want to give Mike the floor here because I'm curious to see what Mike's going to say here. Mike, a lot of people want to hear what you got to say. Because I know, Mike, you've been a little more team Barry and Stefanski maybe than probably anybody on the show, which is fine. And it's not like I've given them props at time as well when they deserve it. I'm at a point now where I see it a little differently, but you had the floor, Mike. Your take, my friend.
Yeah, the biggest issue I had with Stefanski today was saying that in his post-game presser that he's not willing to change quarterbacks, because at this point you have to do what's best for the team, and that's clear it's not Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is statistically, by any metric, out of 34 quarterbacks that you can actually track PPR, EPA, all advanced metrics, is the worst quarterback in the league. Now, I don't care what offense you're running out there. If he looks like the worst quarterback in the league, when this is a guy that made the Texans offense look good with Will Fuller as his best receiver once upon a time, maybe he's just not that guy anymore. And maybe it's time to bench him, move off of him. People are like, I've heard a bunch of people say, oh, it's going to be possible to get out of that contract. It's really not. Andrew Berry's good with money. You can restructure a bunch of guys to make the cap hit less. And here's the thing. I think the best case scenario at this point is to start looking at the quarterback draft. A couple guys I really like. Give Stefanski his offense back. Because here's the thing. I just can't believe that Kevin Stefanski, who had a top 10 statistical offense with Jacoby Brissett playing most of that season. The only reason we probably missed that playoffs that year was because of Joe Woods. And had a top 10 offense with 4 different quarterbacks last year: PJ Walker, DTR, Joe Flacco, and I'm losing the other one. Anyway, you're getting the point. He had 4 different quarterbacks last year, had a top 10 offense. Year before, he has a top 10 offense with Jacoby Brissett. With Baker Mayfield, before he became what he is today, he had a top 10 offense. And I get they wanted to structure everything around Deshaun. It's not working. It's time to go back to what works. If Deshaun doesn't like it, too bad. Get someone else. Because something one of the announcers said that made a lot of sense is you can't just tailor the offense around Deshaun. You have to tailor it around the rest of the guys. And the rest of the guys were drafted to be in this Kubiak-style offense, which it's Stefanski has proven can make work. Not just make work, but make work with a myriad of different people under center. And I'd like to see, what a young quarterback could do in that system, who's actually going to gel with the system. What would Quinn Ewers look like? What would Cam Ward look like after they develop him a little bit? Even Carson Beck, I think, could do it. I'm just to the point where the team's too talented to put together for that offense to be as bad as it is with Deshaun under center. An elite quarterback doesn't put anything into perspective. If Deshaun truly is an elite quarterback, he should at least look, even if the offense is bad, even if the pressure is bad, even if the receivers aren't as good as they used to be, if he is who he thinks he is, the offense should look semi-decent. We shouldn't be the worst third down team in the league. He shouldn't be the worst when it comes to completion percentage. He shouldn't be the worst when it comes to touchdowns, points. He's the worst in every category. Even if the offense is bad, Deshaun should at least look better. I mean, hell, that Texans offense when he was there was bad, but he was still putting up points. He can't even do that anymore. He doesn't look as athletic as he used to. He can't escape pressure like he used to. A quarterback that used to be top 5 when blitzed is now the worst quarterback when blitzed. Teams know that all they have to do is blitz him. And he can't even pick up a blitz. They show 5-6 guys. The Commanders legit are showing 0 blitz. He doesn't make any adjustment at the line, and it's 0 blitz. You can see it's 0 blitz, and he gets sacked, and then he gets up like he's shocked, like he just forgot what that is. And maybe there is a disconnect between him and Stefanski. Maybe there is. I don't want to give up on a coach that I've seen have a better offense with quote unquote less talented quarterbacks. Maybe the ownership, maybe Andrew Berry made him get rid of Alex Van Pelt, made him tailor the offense to Deshaun. Well, guess what? It's not working. And here's the thing. I like Andrew Berry. I really do. And I think he is good at defensive talent. He's good at trading for the most part. But here, every GM takes an L. You know who still has a job? John Lynch. What he traded? Almost the same exact trade package for Trey Lance. Where's Trey Lance? He's sitting on the bench in Dallas. Hasn't even seen. I think he's a 3rd string in Dallas now. And they traded up with 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Drafted Trey Lance 2nd overall, I think, that year. They've done nothing. It is what it is. But John Lynch still has a job. Andrew Berry, I get they don't want to give up on the experiment because they invested a lot. Sometimes you just got to swallow the pill, even though it's a bitter pill. Take the L. Deshaun isn't it anymore. And it's time to give this coach, who I think overall, pretty good coach, this staff, Jim Schwartz, overall, pretty good staff. I'm not sold on Ken Dorsey. And here, if they do bench Deshaun, I think they do move off of Ken Dorsey. Yeah, I know they've been to Super Bowls, but also Kevin Stefanski has had more successful offenses with less talented players. So
I don't know about that. I mean, they literally drafted the last pick in the draft from Brock Purdy and made him serviceable, made a Super Bowl with him. We couldn't do that here. The farthest we make it to is the first round under the wild card, and we lose. I mean, we're trying to hang on to something that, in my opinion, I agree. A lot of stuff you said there I agree with, but trying to run it back with an offense and the same stuff that didn't get us anywhere, to us only to a point is not a good standard.
He's never
My
done it
opinion.
with the
It's like
quarterback
Dan,
they've even developed, though. They've never had
but
a chance to
again,
do it with their guy.
if by that logic they whiffed on Deshaun Watson, what makes you think they'll get it right in the draft and develop that guy?
Well, if they don't get it right in the draft, then you have to move off of him. But I at least like
Do
to
you
see
have
it
that kind
try.
of time? Do you at least have that? You don't have that kind of time. I don't think you have that kind of time, personally. You don't. You've already went all in. This is their team they built for 4 years. They don't get another. They can't. They don't get any extra time. Myles Garrett's supposed to be up for a contract extension this year. You think he's signing that as a clutch client? And you know how clutch rolls? Hell no. And if I was Myles Garrett, I'd get the hell out of here. I don't care what I got to do to force him. I don't care if I'm under contract or not. Pout, whine, sit out, get the hell out of town with this shit. He ain't going anywhere with this. And I agree. Like I said, I agree with some of what you said, but I just don't think. Again, it's like Dan said. Tom Brady himself would have a tough time with this offensive line. Not even just with the offensive line, but with the whole setup, the whole thing, everything. It's just not a well-built machine at all. It's got a lot of flaws, and it shows.
And it starts with the guy under center, the biggest flaw of them all.
It starts with the guy on the sideline and the people at the top. That's where it starts. The terrible. I mean, it's like this.
If we went back to
Elijah Moore, bad trade. Jerry Jeudy looks like a bad trade. DeJuan Jones, digressed, out of shape. Jedrick Wills, not a good pick. Jerome Ford, not okay. Pierre Strong shouldn't even be on the sideline. Cedric Tillman, nothing. Jamari Thrash, I know he's hurt, but they're not even gonna put him out there. I mean, it just never. At some point, you got to point the mirror where the people, their decisions are coming from. Like you can't depend it all on one guy. Like he's supposed to go out there and be the system in Houston was ran by Bill O'Brien, who actually had experience calling plays in that system, and that's why it worked. And they had the right talent around him to make it work, and he was able to flourish in that until the stuff happened.
Yeah, but my point is he's not even being middling.
Same thing he did at Clemson. And even that's college, but still it's basic football, putting the right stuff around him, great culture, great stability. We don't have stability here.
He's not even a middling quarterback, though, Joseph. Like he's not. I don't expect him to flourish. He doesn't even look like a middling quarterback out there.
I agree. He's not. He doesn't look confident at all. I'm not saying. I say he hasn't looked good this year, but I'm saying, who can flourish in this? Nobody can.
That's what I'm saying. Give Kevin his old offense back. I swear to God, like you put Jameis in there in that Shanahan style offense, in the West Coast offense that he knows how to run. The same personnel, you get 12 personnel back out there. I guarantee it looks better next week. I guarantee it gets a better chance to actually win the game next week.
I think Bill Callahan did a lot more than teach guys how to block, in my opinion. He was the run game coordinator, and he's a master at run schemes. And he was the run game coordinator doesn't mean you're just handing there telling. He was the man behind a lot of that. The 2020 run, a lot of that was Bill Callahan coming in and adjusting that offensive line, developing guys, and the Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb duo were really what led them to the playoffs that year. Baker, with the offensive passing, was 28th in the league. He just did his job that year. He wasn't blowing the wall off. Bill Callahan was a lot. Now again, they didn't fire Bill. I get Bill just left, but you replaced him with a guy from UConn who's never coached in the NFL before. You can go back to the old system, but it ain't good. The guy that was a big engine in that, in terms of the run game, because it was a heavy run scheme, he ain't here no more. And so, and you replaced him with some guy that probably shouldn't be on the sideline with a headset on the NFL. What it looks like so far. I like Stefanski. I'm not a Browns fan. Eat the rest of that QB money. Stop wasting prime years of our best players. Probably too late for that. He didn't play a down. The O-line should be ashamed of their effort. Everybody should be ashamed today. But we got some guys I'm going to get up here. Lieutenant Lynch, Jersey, Gergs. Lynch, you go ahead and take it, bud. Go ahead.
Oh, God.
You know who deserves a $230 million contract on the Cleveland Browns?
Who?
Bull Horkes.
Yeah, pretty much. He's been our best weapon.
The one positive we have to this is our kicking game, for the first time since Phil Dawson, is on point. That's the only positive we got to say for the season so far. I mean, and that's a terrible, terrible thing to say. We might got a Pro Bowl punter and a Pro Bowl field goal kicker. Other than that, we got a shit coach. We got a shit GM. We got a quarterback that's been on his back 18 times in 3 games as a starter.
26 for the season.
Yeah. I mean, in 5 games, you allowed your quarterback to get sacked 26 times. I mean, what quarterback do you think in the NFL is going to sign up for that? Wants to come here right now? Tom Brady wouldn't win a Super Bowl getting sacked 26 times in 5 games.
And if I'm a rookie, would I just Eli Manning it in the draft?
I mean,
why wouldn't you?
It's a fucking dump. I'm sorry. It is a
No, you're
dumpster
good.
fire.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, the offensive line is in shambles. Obviously, they've had some injuries, and that's part of playing football. But you hear Ohio State and just about every college coach say it that goes through this, and they say next man up, next man up, next man up, next man up. But it seems like with the Cleveland Browns, we just can't get the next man up.
We don't
That makes
develop.
any sense. Like they're not there. And we got a rookie in Zenter, and his lunch got eaten today. I mean, that was rough. He'll probably get there. He was talented, great run game blocker down at Michigan. Just not there quite yet. But I mean, when you look on the field, you see the frustration of the players, and you see the interactions with the coach on the sideline, and it doesn't look like they give a shit. That's a problem.
It looks like they checked out on him today.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, watching the video you sent of Deshaun just walking right by Stefanski, throwing his helmet down and going and sitting on the bench. I mean,
what's funny?
You know
what's
what
crazy
got me
too?
fired up today? I was watching the recap. Dude, did you see the interaction between the Broncos, Bo Nix, and Peyton?
No, I didn't see that.
Sean Payton. Bo Nix made a bad read, according to Peyton. Sean Payton. And kind of was giving him a little routine tune-up on the sideline. And Bo Nix just starts firing off back at his coach. And then when they were done, Sean Payton laughs, gives him a hug, taps him on the helmet, and says, "All right, we'll get him next time." At least Bo Nix fucking cares. He's got a ball sack. He's fired up. He's engaged in the game. He wants to be on the field, and he wants to win. I just don't see that from any of the players.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder why that is. And it makes you wonder.
Well, it all starts at the top and
that's what I'm saying. Is your culture that bad? Is your culture that toxic right now where guys are pretty much tapping out already? It's only, week 5? And not only that, too, you listen to Watson's presser today, and they asked him, as Mary Kay asked him, number one, what do you think? Should Ken Dorsey call plays? He said, well, that's a Kevin question. Okay. And then she asked him about personnel. He said, I'm going to leave it up to Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. And then she asked him about the offense not being explosive, and he made a point though I thought was interesting of how he had to make sure he said it, which was, I think we should run the ball more in the beginning of the game and run the ball more on first down, because they're probably the worst first down play calling team. I mean, the play calls on first down, the execution on first down. Greg Olson said it's just absolutely atrocious. That's why they're always behind the sticks and behind schedule. And the way he said, he goes, I think we should run the ball more. And to hear your quarterback say, I think we should commit to running the ball more. I'm kind of paraphrasing. He did say the word commit to running the ball more. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what do we do? I mean, we don't run the ball. We don't do any. We don't commit to the run game. We don't. It's like we're trying to force something with the wrong pieces. Again, it kind of goes back to the front office. They put this together. They're the ones that forced this whole, in my opinion, forcing Van Pelt to be gone, bringing in Ken Dorsey. okay, you make those changes, but then you bring in the slowest receiving core in the league. Elijah Moore trade bust. Jerry Jeudy trade, not impressive so far. Amari Cooper, glue factory. It just looks. I mean, Tillman
It doesn't look good.
dropping
I will
passes.
say,
I mean,
it's hard to commit to running the ball more when at one point in the game we had run the ball 6 times for 7 yards.
and that's another thing is you replace Bill Callahan. Granted, he left. You didn't fire him. You couldn't do anything about that. He should have left. It's graft to the son. But he was your run game coordinator, and you replaced him with a guy from UConn who's never coached before in the NFL. Yeah, great hire. Great hire. Fabulous hire. Gertz, you there, buddy?
What up?
What up?
Senior finance in the house.
Yeah. We got a special guest in the back too. Somebody I've never heard of before. I don't know who this is. I'll bring him up in a second. Hang back there. Gertz, I'll let you go first though, bud. Your take on the game. You heard all of us talk. Me, Mike, Lynch. What's your thoughts on all of this?
I guess I'm not shocked. I mean, I think that. I mean, are any of you surprised how
No.
today's game went? I mean, it's our offense. The offense is terrible. It's whether you want to blame Deshaun or want to blame Stefanski. It doesn't matter what you want to blame. It's just awful, and they just.
If Joe Montana was in shotgun.
Yeah, it's just a bad football team right now.
Heavy Duty's in the house. Shout out to Heavy Duty.
And it's not even the offense at this point. Their defense looks terrible.
Yeah, it does look bad.
I mean,
what's going on with MJ Emerson this year? My God.
Yeah, I mean,
Greg Newsom, he's always been a stick at times, but
it's just the whole team looks terrible. They really look truly like one of the worst teams in football. And at this point, I want them to bench Watson. Because
and why do you think they should bench Watson? I know what you're going to say, but why do you think they should?
Because at the end of the day, all these football fans that blame Watson, they will quickly see that it ain't him. It's just clearly the system, what's going on with that team right now. It's just
nobody can thrive in that culture.
Yeah. Jameis Winston. I mean, he's used to getting sacked 100 times. I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah, DTR. Let's put 5'11" DTR back there, Gertz. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
It doesn't matter who's back there this year. That team is just bad. And
hey, Gertz, not to cut you off, but these people that say it's all 100% Watson. Okay, well, if you think Stefanski and Barry are still good, where's the blame for them in making the decision to bring him here? If you think Watson was a failed experiment, where's the blame for them making that decision also? But also, how do you have any trust in them getting it right in the draft and developing somebody?
Well, I'll go back to, one thing about John Lynch versus Andrew Berry. Yes, John Lynch did trade up and trade a bunch of assets to, for Trey Lance. There's no doubt about it. That definitely happened. But who did they pick last overall in that same draft?
Brock Purdy.
Imagine that.
And they developed him, and they've all been in a Super Bowl before
John Lynch cut ties with Trey Lance.
And, by the way, they have a great coach.
Right. Who develops players.
They have a great culture.
They have a great Super Bowl twice.
And they've been to the Super Bowl since then, even though they've given up all those assets. So I don't know necessarily if that example was the correct one to use. But again, at the end of the day, people miss. And I think that's what Mike was trying to say. People miss on their draft picks. They miss on their trades. They do that. It is what it is. It's just funny to me that Stefanski, as much as I've said, fire the guy, he makes me even more mad today when he says he's not benching Watson, because that's what I want him to do. And it just seems like every time I look at Stefanski, he's doing exactly what I think he shouldn't, including
I agree.
I just bench him.
Yeah.
Give Cleveland fans what they think they want, and it's only going to show them that that's not the problem.
All right, you're still
Also,
you're
one quick hot take here.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
very hold on,
Everybody
hold on,
keeps-
real quick, Lynch.
Sorry.
Hold on
Back
one
to the
second.
third down. It's very easy to be the worst third down team in the NFL when you're constantly in third and longs.
Yep.
You're going to be the worst third down team when it's always 3rd and 12.
And you're statistically, I think, the worst first down team in the league.
Mhm.
And your quarterback saying in the post game, "Hey, maybe we should commit to the run more." I wonder why. I mean, it's mind-boggling that
I mean, Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards with Tampa, but he also led the league in interceptions.
yeah, and he
And
also
it's
dropped
so-
the he dropped the snap today too when he came in the game.
Yeah, and he
I feel
also
real
didn't
confident
listen
with
to
that.
his coach when they told him to kneel the ball last year, and the reason why he's no longer on the Saints.
It's why he's a journeyman now.
Yes.
And he stole crab legs.
So the people that are crying for Jameis Winston, I want them to get what they want, so they realize that at least Deshaun's not turning the ball over at a rapid pace. Because trust me, once they pressure Jameis like this, my
luck.
gosh.
How about
Start the
DTR as
defense.
well? I mean,
Yeah.
can we also say too, Chris, that the Joe Flacco thing last year was one of the most overrated things we overrated that whole thing.
Well, you say we.
Well, you've been saying it all along, but I think it's being proven even more now.
Yeah. They were a product of who they played last year. I said it. They played also a bunch of backups as well.
And a
which I
great
think that-
defense.
yeah, and they had a great defense. And the Bill Callahan thing, you know, we were up here in the offseason, me and you, especially that were Bill Callahan is a huge deal. Him leaving is a huge deal. Him leaving is a huge deal. And everyone acted like Stefanski was gonna just make up for it. I just at this point though, I might say something that surprises you. I don't even know if a better coach would help this team right away. This needs blown up.
I don't even believe that Nick Chubb coming back next week is going to help in any way, shape, or form.
If I'm Nick Chubb, I wouldn't come back at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a competitor.
Like, I think all the fans out there that are tweeting, "Thank God Chubb's back next week," are going to be sadly mistaken.
This team needs Nick Chubb's going to be a Dallas Cowboy in 2 weeks.
You think Myles Garrett might be a Cowboy too down the road?
No.
I don't know. Lynch, you gonna say something quick? I got somebody in the back. No special
Yeah, I
guy.
just
know
wanted
this
to say that everybody is sadly mistaken that thinks that Nick Chubb's going to come back and fix all this next week, and all of a sudden the offense is going to start moving the chains. Nick Chubb is a ungodly talented running back, but behind this line,
ain't having no success.
If there's nothing to run in between, it ain't going to go nowhere.
Yeah, I agree. Jersey, you there?
Yeah.
Well, before I bring you up, Jersey, I got a special guest in the back. I did drop the link in our thing here on this. I dropped the link on. What did I drop it? I didn't drop it YouTube, did I? Oh, I dropped it on Facebook. So this person came in from Facebook, I think. Yinzer is his name. Yinzer, welcome on to the reel. Who are you, Yinzer? Can you mind introducing yourself? Yinzer, are you there? Yinzer? Can you hear me, Yinzer? I don't know. I don't know if Yinzer can hear us. Is your audio okay? I don't. Anybody? What's going on? I don't know. Yinzer, maybe check your audio. I don't know if you can see me or hear me. We're here. I'm not sure if Yinzer can hear us. I'll keep you in the back, Yinzer. Jersey, you know who Yinzer is?
Yeah.
I don't know who that Yinzer is.
I don't. Yinzer, can you? If you hear me, Yinzer, wave. Can you wave? Wave to the camera if you can hear me. I don't think this guy can hear me. I don't know who this guy is. I think he has some technical issues. We'll see in a second what happens. Cleveland needs to change their name to No Show Pros. Yeah, pretty much. We are a bunch of no shows, a bunch of front runners as well. Let's try this again. Yinzer, you there? Hello? Yinzer. Somebody else say something. See if we get this guy's attention. Dad, say so. Yinzer.
Yinzer,
you're muted.
Yeah, you have to unmute your mic, Yinzer.
You're muted, Yinzer. Now say something. Yinzer, I think you're muted, Yinzer. Yinzer? Can you say something? Yeah, just go back in. I don't know. I think your mic's muted, Yinzer. Or maybe just come out and come back in. Jersey, you want to give a quick take real quick before we get him back in here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to what I said, what I've been saying. It's been the same stuff since Stefanski's been here. We're talking about a couple of years ago. We had top 10 offense. That offense stunk. It was terrible. And let me ask you this: who's actually playing well in the offense?
No one.
No one. So is that the quarterback's fault?
That guy's dropping passes. No,
that's not the quarterback's fault. Or not here. And maybe it is time for maybe it's time to part ways. I think if Watson leaves and gets in the right situation, he has a successful career. The problem's not Watson. That's not the problem. If you look at the guys when they're giving up on the team, that's a coaching failure. I don't care which industry you're in. That's a coaching, manager, whatever you want to call it. That's a coaching failure. You lead the league in penalties. Coaching failure. Your quarterback's on pace to get sacked over 100 times. That's a coaching failure. So you can't keep giving this guy a freaking pass. And as far as Watson walking off the field, I walked out of 2 showrooms. So at some point you get tired of the shit. You get tired of it not changing, and if I'm him here, and you know who does this? All these people that just ride these allegations against him here. Because if he didn't have that, nobody'd be saying that. So let's get that. It has nothing to do with football. Okay. So, it's time to stop giving Stefanski a pass. The bad thing is, and going back to him walking off that field like that, this is the dude. This guy's just been taking it on the chin. He has just been, and Stefanski has been getting no slack from anybody. He's not sticking up for his players. This guy's been taking it on the chin. At some point, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm the QB. I see these bullshit calls come in. They can't even get their personnel right, and it's just week after week, season after season. I'm done. I don't blame the dude. You know what I mean? And I think he's probably speaking for the rest of the players.
I did see a lot of players at the end of that game coming up to him on the sideline and shaking his hand and saying something in his ear, I hear this narrative that the offensive line won't block for him because they're trying to get him hurt. They don't like him. The team
whoever says that is an absolute idiot. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I guarantee you, there has never been an offensive lineman or a group of offensive linemen that have purposely not blocked for a quarterback. It's just not in their name. It's just not. Nobody would do that.
They would lose their job. You think DeJuan Jones, who's not on an extension yet?
You're just not going to do that to your teammates. It's just not going to happen.
I'm not on my second contract yet. Let me go out there and purposely not block. That makes a lot of sense.
There's too many things. There's too many things wrong to just pin it on a quarterback. There's too many other things wrong. It's every year. It's the same thing. And this year is the worst I've ever seen it because the expectations are so high. But there's just too many things going wrong to pin it on a quarterback. Am I here? I'm not saying that he's even an elite quarterback anymore. I don't know. You don't know until either they bring a different coach in, or something changes in the front office. I don't even know if that's going to work anymore. But he's gone and goes somewhere else. But Stefanski, got to stop giving this guy a pass. My gosh. I mean, look at what's going on with the team that goes back to him. I mean, you're losing your players. I don't care. I've seen plenty of bad quarterbacks. If you want to call it a quarterback issue, I've seen many. I'm 47 years old. I've watched a ton of football. I've seen a lot of bad quarterbacks over the years, but I didn't see teams just the entire offense just quit and just look morally defeated. That's a coaching failure. That's a front office failure, but mainly a coaching failure. So here, he definitely has to go. And I don't know how you dump off a $230 million contract. I just don't know how you do that. You got 2 years remaining after this year. I don't know how you dump that off. So if it's me, I make the change right now. I get rid of him. I see what happens with the rest of the season with Watson. If it's the same result, then get rid of him too, or try to get rid of him. But God, that's a lot of money. You just can't. They're in a tough spot. But I'm never going to blame players, because you go back to Brock Purdy. What happened with him? He got coached up. Tom Brady got coached up. 6th-round pick. He got coached up. So this guy's not like Deshaun Watson is just this, shit bag guy that should never even been drafted. The guy's an elite athlete. It's just he's not being coached up. I'm always going to blame it on the coaches. So, and especially when you look at everything that's going wrong, no one's playing well on that offense. And who runs the offense?
Kevin Stefanski.
Right. So that's where I start.
He's the play caller.
He's the play caller. So it starts with
Can we
shit
get rid
play.
of that guy that handles our statistics too? Because whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry.
DePodesta.
DePodesta. He was on.
DePodesta. He's got to fucking go.
Yeah, he was on the sideline today. We at least saw him. Yeah, that was nice. But
here, I'm even going to the point of, who knows? Maybe it's something that's even above Stefanski. I don't know. All I know is I'm not blaming the players. It's someone between Stefanski and all the way up top. That's where the problem lies. It's not the players. They got a ton of talent on that team. They're just not being coached. They're checked out.
Yeah, this isn't a team that has just been bad, and then you come in as your first year coach. You know what I mean? Like Stefanski's been here 4 years.
Yeah,
and, I mean,
the same shit.
This isn't. I mean, people are just like, well, the personnel's bad. Yeah, I agree. Personnel is bad right now, but that's kind of your fault.
Right.
Either way.
I mean, look at what I don't remember your guys' coach's name, Chris.
Dan Campbell.
Look what Dan Campbell did with Jared Goff.
Well, yeah. Dan Campbell just did a really good job of. He's a football guy and he's a great head coach, but he's done a great job of getting positional coaches in there that know what they're doing, that have been through it, and Brad Holmes has drafted amazing, but even then, Dan Campbell had a terrible record his first 2 years because he inherited a bad team. But it's not like the Browns
guys up and
have been
they
a
drafted
bad
properly.
team.
They brought in pieces. But think the Rams gave up on Jared Goff, moved him for Stafford, and without missing a beat, they have one NFL draft, a couple talented rookies. Get Amon-Ra, get Montgomery from the Bears. Montgomery looks like a completely different player under Dan Campbell at that point. And all of a sudden, you're NFC Championship game.
Well, the Browns have a guy like
shows some
a
enthusiasm
Dan
and
Campbell
passion.
on
he's in the building.
He's too masculine.
He's too masculine. I also saw his Dad, you also saw his jersey hung up the other night at his alma mater, high school wise too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice
Do
guy.
you
But
get
anyways,
what I'm saying there though? Like Dan Campbell's like the kind of coach that like players want to play for.
Yes, Dan Campbell seems to me. Well, obviously, I've never met the guy, but by watching him, he seems like a very inspiring coach, which is what a coach needs to do. You need to inspire
And then
everyone
hire
around you.
great positional coaches.
So you need to inspire people, and that dude gets me fired up just watching him. So I just don't see Kevin Stefanski, and you can be inspiring in your own way, whichever way it is. I think I'm just more like a Dan Campbell type guy, but I don't see anything inspiring about him. I mean, it seems like I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's a first class gentleman, but he just usually analytical people are just flat. You know what I mean? They just don't have any personality. They just don't. They're not very inspiring. So he just don't get his players wound up, ready to go. I mean,
hold on 1 second. I want to go back to this. Tommy, appreciate you for tuning in, my friend. Did you see we got smoked by a guy on the other team today built like DTR? Well, I mean, DTR is probably 3 inches smaller than Jaden Daniels. What you say, Chris?
I actually think they're pretty similar, but there's also a talent level.
A big talent. Yeah, I mean, well,
right.
I looked. Jaden Daniels is 6'4", so he's probably 6'5" with his cleats on. They have DTR listed as 6'2", although he looks more like 6'1", and he's a lot smaller to me. Now, like I agree with you. I don't think you're probably right in terms of the way they're built. They're both more. I mean, not the bulkiest of guys, but Jaden Daniels is a little taller, a lot more athletic. Not that DTR isn't athletic, but Jaden Daniels was that dude in college. I mean, he ran for over 1,000 yards ACC, Chris, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was he was a Heisman for a reason. I don't. Jaden Daniels is on a whole nother level than DTR. DTR will never be Jaden Daniels.
But I think what he's trying to basically say.
Oh,
is,
I know. Yeah, I know.
Let's just give someone else a chance because clearly this isn't working. And at the end of the day, they're going to. But here's the main thing. It'll putting DTR behind this offensive line and in this offense would ruin his career.
Now I love what he said here. I appreciate the comment. Yeah, I just don't. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, yeah. It is pretty sad that we got, but Jaden Daniels to me is just a lot more talented than DTR. I'm not surprised Jaden Daniels is playing as well. I liked him coming out of the draft. He was. I mean, I know a lot of other people did, but some people had him ahead of Caleb in some mocks. But Peeps and Bria really upset. Big stuff happened today. It came out this week. What did come out? Would you mind putting that in the comment? I don't know if because I keep up with it, but if you wouldn't mind putting that, Tommy, maybe what came out this week, maybe what you read and put in the comment, we'll put it up here, kind of get a better understanding. If you wouldn't mind, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in as well. Team definitely needs to have a come to Jesus meeting. Need a big shakeup. Let these coaches and players know this is unacceptable. Yeah, totally agree, 100%. Dre Nash says, why are we the only team with 88 top receiver speed? Yeah, 88's pushing it.
That's
Dre.
generous.
That's Dre. That's very generous of you. Is 88. I would give it a 78 tops. Anybody else? What in terms of Madden speed, what would you guys give the speed of this receiver core? I'd say 78 tops, maybe even lower.
70.
75.
I mean, yeah, they're not very fast.
You gotta give it a number, Chris. Like Madden.
I don't know, 85, 80.
85. Damn, that's being generous. They look slower than that.
85 is elite attribute in Madden.
Here's the crazy thing, though. A lot of teams with talent are losing. They're not. It's early enough in the season that they're not too far away from making a run. Fire Stefanski and bring in Vrabel now, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, is that really all they can do? I mean, because I don't think you're going to get out of that contract right now. I mean, there's been multiple articles written about that, how they can't get out of it until probably 2026. If you get out of it now, I mean, that's not good at all. I mean, that wouldn't be good for your cap, obviously, if you just cut them. I mean, do you just try to let Dorsey actually call his offense and put maybe Vrabel out there and see what you got? I mean, Vrabel obviously was with Deshaun in Houston. They had success there. I mean,
Yeah, I
Chris
mean,
or Gergson and Jeremy, what do you guys think?
my thought is, I mean, what I would do is something different. What I think they're going to do. I mean, I think that they're going to end up benching Watson and throwing out, Jameis, and then once Jameis fails, then they'll eventually, by that time, once the season's completely lost, then they'll eventually fire Stefanski. But what I would do right now, because you're sitting at 1-4, but really everyone in your division, I mean, you're only 2 games back of your division with a long season left. I mean, I would immediately insert Vrabel. But again, they're not going to do that, and I'm well aware that they're not. So bring in Jameis, give the people what they think they want, and then prove them wrong once Jameis Winston leads the league in interceptions behind this stupid offensive line.
I agree with you, Jim Smith. Appreciate you tuning in, my friend. What the fuck did they do all off season? I mean, they must have had the worst training camp ever because everybody's out of shape, everybody's hurt. And speaking of the offseason too, it kind of goes back. Dan, you talked about why did they give Dan put in the comments, or why can somebody explain to me why they extended Kevin again? But remember that extension, that whole saga, how it dragged out that whole past the draft, past OT, past the whole thing, all the way up till June was when those guys got extended. It was like a whole long saga. It was getting dragged out. And we all came on the show and said something seems to be kind of weird going on. Something behind the scenes. I know other shows around the city were mentioning it too. That it seems to be there's some kind of power struggle going on, or what's going on behind the scenes. Why is it taking this long? If they're your guys like they say you are, it shouldn't be taking this long for you to extend them. You don't wait till after the draft and hold it off. You get it done immediately, so it's done and out of the way. Nobody's thinking about it. And you can put all your focus into your drafting and your OTAs and your offseason, what's most important. This is free agency, obviously, trades. But it was dragged out till June. And not only that, it's never been disclosed publicly. And Antonaeus, are you still there, Mike?
Yep.
Mike, was it ever disclosed still what their years and contract numbers were on the extension?
Not Stefanski's, but Andrews was.
What was Andrews?
Andrews is a 6-year extension. Kevin's was never publicly disclosed, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So Kevin's was never publicly disclosed. Mike, did you find that odd?
I mean, he's not the only coach that doesn't have his contract publicly disclosed, and contract details usually get leaked by like insiders. It's just not something like people generally like care about too much. So like not a lot of people write on it. I'm sure Watson was on Instagram living his best life.
Sign Charlie Fry, Mike. That's where we're at.
I remember the dudes. Do you remember the dudes that used to dress up like French fries? I kind of remember that. Like it's like a fever dream.
The only thing I remember about Charlie Fry real quick was my buddy Ian and I. Shout out to Ian. We grew up together. We went to the 2007 Browns training camp, and they had a table, right? And it was Joe Thomas's rookie year with the autographs like they used to. It was Joe Thomas, Josh Cribbs, Phil Dawson, DeQuell Jackson, all these guys. Charlie Fry was first. And all I heard from my dad and their bells how bad Charlie Fry was. So we just walked right past Charlie Fry and went straight to Joe Thomas. We didn't even we just ignored him for his autograph. Yeah, true story. True story. But shout out to Charlie Fry, Akron legend. But we did walk past him. But go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just not something that generally people really give a damn about because, there is a certain percentage of guarantees when it comes to coaching contracts, but it's never like anything like crazy. So,
yeah.
And it generally doesn't count against the cap. So that's why it's generally doesn't need to be disclosed. So they do know it is weird that we know one and not the other. That's the weird thing is like, we know for a fact Andrew is extended for 6 years.
Yeah, that's what I find. Why disclose one but not the other if they're linked together? I just thought that was kind of weird. He said there's a floating algorithm in Stefanski's contract that only he and Paul DePodesta can decode with a TI-83 calculator. It's password protected. Yeah. We do have so Yinzer, the guy Yinzer went out and then he came back in. Let's see if we get him now. Yinzer, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Y'all hear me?
We can hear you, Yinzer.
All right. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I don't know about you. Would you shut that darn dog up? Mary Lou, please shut that dog up. Thank you. You know, Mary Lou, she's my girl. She can skin a deer and she can fillet a fish and she's something else. But let me tell you right now, I'm a little bit disappointed with all you Browns fans. I don't understand, but us Steelers don't have a problem with winning games, but you all do seem to have some issues. What all's going on with y'all? I just don't get it.
Oh, so you're a Steelers fan?
Oh yeah, Steelers fan all the way. Woo-ha! Go Steelers! Yeah. You know what the difference is between a bucket of manure and a Cleveland Browns fan?
What's that?
The bucket.
The bucket. Yeah, everybody knows that one, right? You know what? When I first saw that new fellow that's coaching with y'all, I looked at him and I go, I know that guy. He's going to be really good for the Browns. That's Dan Malott. But it wasn't. It was some Stefanski guy. He sucks. He's not very good for y'all. Not good at all.
So you don't like Stefanski either as a Steelers fan, as an outsider?
You know, that Stefanski guy's got to go. He's just you know, he has fan in his name, but he sure ain't a fan of mine. He sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Parent John here says, hey, man, Steelers have culture. We don't. You guys are blessed.
Oh, yeah,
so.
We got everything. You know, we got it all going on, but I don't know about you Browns fans. There's just something wrong there. You know what, though? Something I heard the other day. I heard that, you know, your Springfield fans, they're starting to eat your dog pound. Is that true?
Yeah, it might be true now.
I don't know, man. Springfield's got some crazy characters, and when they hear dog pound, I don't know what they're doing, but I hear something strange going on.
Yeah, I mean, what do you? I mean, as a Steelers fan, what would you do if you were the Browns? Who should they fire? I mean, should they get rid of Watson? I mean, should they get rid of should Andrew Berry get fired? I mean, what do you think should happen?
Well, I'll tell you what. I heard a rumor the other day. Don't tell anybody, but I heard that Deshaun Watson dude. I heard he was one of the guys at the Diddy party.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure. That's what I hear. All right. He likes to freak off, if you know what I mean.
Well, maybe. I mean, I can't. Oh boy, I don't even want to put this comment on the screen. He said, "No racist shit, but we need a good old school white quarterback," according to DJ Wilkinson. I'll just leave that at that. I'm just reading the comment. Yeah. Anyways, does Jimmy enjoy watching this dumpster fire week after week?
Watson, dude, man, he's something strange about him. He just weird going on. He's making lots of money, but he ain't doing lots of progress, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, going back, I don't think you need a white quarterback. I think there's plenty of successful black quarterbacks in the NFL right now that are defining those odds, but in the stereotype. But anyways, Yinzer, going back to you.
I don't care what color it is.
Exactly, Yinzer. They don't matter what color they are. As long as they can play, they can play. Look at Justin Fields. He's doing great this year, isn't he?
He just fumbled.
Right.
Oh, he just fumbled. But he's 3-1. He's doing good.
If I was you, I'd get that Manziel guy back. He seemed to be a lot better than that Watson. He's a lot cheaper, too.
So you would bring back Manziel?
I'd bring him back in a heartbeat compared to that other feller. He just sucks. That Watson guy's no good. Now, of course, you guys also had that guy that's playing for Tampa. He seems to be doing right, all right. But you know what? I definitely wouldn't do anything with that Watson guy. That guy needs to be better off just sitting on the bench. I think he could be a water boy.
Yeah, James Taylor said seen about 30 white QBs since '99. They all sucked. Yeah, pretty much. I agree with you, James. They all sucked.
Yeah, they just, there's this something smelly going on. I don't
Well,
know
he
what
said
it
he
is.
said he'd take Sanders. All right.
Well, maybe that
Sanders
Watson
not
guy
coming to
needs go
Cleveland.
back to Cowboys.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe. Hey, what do you think of your guys' game right now? You're tied 3-3 against the Dallas Cowboys. Think you'll pull it off tonight?
Oh yeah, it's no doubt about it. Oh, you know what? We got a real good guy named Gaylor. Gaylor seems to be helping us a good bit. He's really good. He really helps us out a lot, if you know what I mean. He's just
Daylor.
supportive.
Oh, yeah, he goes to the Steelers games. You see him in Pittsburgh when he comes there?
Yeah, I see him a lot. He's a good old boy. I reckon some people from Ohio are pretty smart. Taylor's one of them, but not a lot more. Not anybody that's Cleveland Browns fan, if you know what I mean.
What's the craziest thing you ever seen Taylor do at a Steelers game?
Taylor, well, I'll tell you what. There's one time Taylor's just, hanging around there, and it's like, what's going on, Taylor? And Taylor's like, hell no. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, you know what? He goes, chicken butt. I don't know what that means, but it was kind of funny at the time. But Taylor's he's a huge fan. He's big and he's supportive, and he's just really good. If I know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Taylor would hate to be a Browns fan. I know that, just like us.
Oh no, he'd never be a Browns fan. Never.
Yeah.
We used to have some good Browns up there. I used to root for them too, but now they got bird wings. They call them the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I know.
Yeah, he said, thanks for the shout out. Get Kevin out. Yeah, I appreciate James Taylor. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. I'm going to drop the link here too, guys, in the chat. If you guys want to come up here with us, feel free to come. You can come in off camera. You don't have to stay long. You can come in and give your take. So here's the StreamYard link right here. It's in the chat right there. I'll pin it. And so go ahead and click that link if you guys want to come up here and give your take on the game. Feel free to come on up here. Link is in the chat. This is we want this to be for fans. Even guys like Yinzer is not a Browns fan. He's a Steelers fan, right, Yinzer? So this is for everybody.
Those Steelers.
All right. He said, you guys got any questions? Mike, you there, Mike?
I got a quick question.
Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I mean, there is an elite head coach that currently does not have a job that could come in with a combination of Vrabel and possibly turn things around.
Who's that?
Old Billy boy.
Belichick?
Yeah.
I don't know. Dan Malott says the Browns' offense is about as good as Yinzer's jokes. Yinzer, you got a response to Dan?
If you bring in a coach that's been there, done that, knows how to get there. I mean, granted, he had the greatest quarterback of all time on his team, but at the same time, you get there. What is it, 7, 8 times?
Okay, I think Dan ran Yinzer off the set, but go ahead, Jeremy.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's an idea. You get Vrabel, and even if Belichick doesn't want the head coaching responsibilities, you get him back into the organization where he started his coaching career.
Dre Nash says he would give Bill Belichick the keys to the city. Param John says if Bill wants to come here, I'll take him. He'll hold people accountable, which is something we don't have right now. Head coach would be head coach, not call plays. Not call plays would be never me. Thank you, Tommy. I've been saying this for a while. I reached out to a former college coach, 3-time national champion under Urban Meyer's staff, and he was an offensive side of coach. And I asked him last year, and I put this out on the show. I said, "Hey, what's your thoughts on being a head coach, being a coordinator, or head coach calling plays and managing as a head coach? Managing teams as a coach like they do." And he pointed out all the cons that some guys can do it, but it takes a long time. Like took Andy Reid 20 years to win a Super Bowl, and it was with a generational guy in Pat Mahomes. After 20 years is when he finally got it done as a court. If you look at the last 20 years of the NFL, all Super Bowl champions, only 3 guys as head coaches and play callers have won Super Bowls. It was Sean McVay with that Rams team that was $9 million over the cap. They barely sold out the whole team to win that year. Brandon Odell midseason, all that, all the trades, Von Miller, everything. Andy Reid with Pat Mahomes, a generational talent, we all agree, and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And then the Frank Wright with the Eagles run, but that was more defensive led, really. It's not, yeah. I mean, I don't think, and the guy pointed out to me all the reasons why. How you don't want your head coach to be emotional as a play caller, or you don't want your play caller to be emotional when they're, you want them to be locked in, lasered into the game. They have to be That's why a lot of guys go up in the booth and sit behind the booth, right? Because they have to be locked in. They're supposed to be calling in plays. Your head coach is supposed to be emotional. He's supposed to get the guys up, like you said earlier, Dad. He's supposed to get the team rallied around. He has to manage everything all around the building. He's in every meeting every week. He's going around all around the facility. He's got to get everybody up, get everybody organized. He can't manage both, clearly. And does anybody else think he can? Has he proven that he can thus far be a play caller and a head coach? And it seems like every time I pointed out that guy pointed out to me, and I said it on the show when he gave it to me, I think it was like last year at the end of the season, it's being proven even more each week.
Wow.
That's tough. I mean, you see Andy Reid do it, but that's Andy Reid.
It took him 20 years too.
Yeah, it took him a long time. So, no, I wouldn't. These guys got to work hard enough as it is. I mean, they're basically doing it. If you're doing one job, I think I read like an NFL coach works average 18 hours a day. So you imagine just being a coach, all those duties, and then you're trying to take on that role, a different role, so an entire somebody else's job at the same time. I don't do it. I mean, look at Ohio State. Look what's happened ever since Ryan Day gave up the play calling. It just looks like a totally different offense out there. So
he even looks healthier.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why Stefanski just doesn't at least try it. I mean, if I'm him, after what's going on, I'll try anything before I let everything blow apart. I mean, I'll try anything before. I mean, this week I'll come out in the media and I'd say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give up the play calling. I'm going to step aside, and we're going to see what's going to happen. And if that doesn't work, then you go on to the next thing. But it's just too hard. My gosh, head coach has to manage all the other coaches, and just too much to do to try to get a game plan together. And thought really probably, I don't know how many days they do it, 3-4 days, who knows, and then at the same time have to make adjustments or make changes during the game. It's just too tough.
Wrinkled Towel said, how can a QB be good under a bad coach how can a QB be good under a bad coach and bad under a good coach? It's a coaching problem. Or excuse me, and bad under a good coach. It's a coaching problem. It's basically what we've been saying all along, which is how can any quarterback be successful into this whole thing, right, Chris?
Yeah. It's again, it's the same thing every week. That's why today didn't surprise me. I 100% anticipated them to get beat up pretty bad. Not score under 20 again. Third longs all over the place. Barely run the ball. I mean, it's just it's not surprising.
Yeah.
And then at this point, it's like just do something different. And here maybe Jameis sparks it up a little bit. They have a good first quarter, and then he throws that pick 6 in Philly, against Philly that he's, probably will always do because he's Jameis Winston and that's what he does. It's just I just don't understand why people think it's going to be different. Or, how about next year? Oh, next year draft a quarterback. For what? To ruin their career?
Well, exactly. And if I'm if I'm a quarterback, because they're in the chat right now, they're having a discussion. Who would you draft in the draft? We can get into that, but it's like
I'd love to get into that.
I would ask you guys though, do you really trust the guy to get developed here? And would they even pick the right guy, number one? And could he get developed here? And if I'm a quarterback coming out in the draft and seeing this, I might pull an Eli Manning.
I think they could develop it, and I think college quarterbacks to this point have kind of finally understood. I mean, if you're a good quarterback, you're not going to a great situation. That's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. I mean, if you pull an Eli Manning, which like the only guy I could see doing it is Shador, who already has a bunch of scrutiny around him because of the comments, not even made by directly Shador, but made by his father, which obviously, links back to Shador, which sucks because I think Shador is a actually really talented and gifted player and quarterback. But I'd love to see what this front office could do to actually develop a guy. I think, again, if Stefanski wants to retain play calling, I think he should go back to what works. And that is a very quarterback friendly system. And again, I think that, I mean, even if you don't get it 100% right, like what if you draft Quinn Ewers or someone like that, and he has the talent level of a Kirk Cousins or just is minimized athletically like a Jared Goff, I think. And I'm not taking away from Jared Goff as a quarterback at all. That's not what I'm saying. Jared Goff's an excellent quarterback. So is Kirk Cousins. He's been great this season so far. I'm just saying in general, like if you have a guy with that talent level and under that Kubiak system, which is QB friendly, I think that would actually blossom into a pretty good quarterback. But you need somebody who has the right mindset. You need someone mature. You can't draft because here Baker, I know there's a lot of discourse right now because of the discontent in the current quarterback room, but like Baker would have never been the guy he is right now if he wouldn't have failed in Carolina. And if LA would have just moved on after like they signed him for a couple days.
Baker became the guy he is now because he landed in the right situation. He went to LA, found some stop.
I just mean his maturity too, because
I agree, but I think he found the right stability in LA. Now LA couldn't keep him because they have Matt Stafford still. He understood that, but he then went to a winning organization in Tampa Bay with good coaching staff and good reign organization, good stability from top to bottom, which is why Tom Brady chose him and went there. And you see what he is now. He's just good starting quarterback in the NFL so far. To me. Anybody else? I mean,
well, if he'd not left Cleveland, where do you think he would have ended up? What would have happened to Baker if he would have continued to stay in Cleveland?
He would be out of the league right now.
Out of the league. And I was one of his biggest critics at the end. I blamed him, and I was wrong. It wasn't him.
I mean, he admitted it was him in a podcast. He said he should have gotten the surgery and he played hurt.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Here. No, that's what a player's gonna say. And you know what? I'll give him credit for saying that. It wasn't him. Because the same shit that was going on that you see today is what was happening then. Sack after sack. I mean, just the same crazy ass offense. They practically ruined his career. He just said the right thing. I don't care if he's playing injured or not. What the hell is he supposed to do? The guy was playing for a contract. You know what I mean? He knew he was coming up. He had a contract coming up. Of course he's going to play. I'll never question Baker's toughness. I just question his ability to play football. I just didn't think he was an NFL quarterback. And I was wrong. And you know what, though? They shit on him. They blamed it all on him. I was one of those fans. They let Baker take all that heat, and Baker took it. He never said a word. They put him with that idiot receiver they brought in. Two idiots. They yum each other nonstop. I mean, they put him in a bad situation, gave him poor play calling, and then left him out high and dry. You can't argue it. It's exactly what they did with him. And the guy gets out of here, He makes a little stop with Sean McVay. I'm sure that helped him. In Carolina, now he's down in Tampa, having having a pretty good year, on his way to the playoffs. So, no, and it's the same thing that's happening with Watson. He's the guy being hung out to dry, and Stefanski's just, he's just
Okay. I see what Wrinkle Tout's saying now. He said, how can Deshaun Watson go from making the playoffs, beating the Chiefs at home, balling out in the regular season with a shit coach, and go to a team with a, quote, good coach and be bad?
correct. This doesn't make sense. I don't care that he was out for a year, 2 years with the suspension. The guys just, guys that in their 20s, you don't lose it. You don't lose it. And I think he's still a pretty confident guy. The only thing you could lose is your confidence, but who takes your confidence away?
Your coach.
Your coach. So,
well, it's
no
like
way
great
around.
John McKissick said, legendary coach John McKissick, players win game, coaches lose them. But in Cleveland, it's the opposite. Dre Nash said, I knew the game was over when we ran that weird reverse screen in the first quarter. Yeah, it's always a lot of weird. We're always running backwards in our offense.
Running backwards.
Yeah. Tommy, I feel like we are I feel like we are Browns is just a farm team of the NFL. It's sad but true. Yeah, it's what it is now. Because like they were saying earlier in the chat too, he brought up. Dre said, "What would you guys trade Miles and others for draft picks?" That's where I'm at right now. I don't know. I really question. I'm not saying it's something. I know, like they said down. Paramajon said Miles loves Cleveland and wanted to stay. I know Miles loves Cleveland. But if I'm Miles Garrett, he's supposed to be due for an extension this year, which he's definitely not going to sign. I would be stunned if he signed that now. He's eligible for one. He also is a clutch client. Should be noted. I think it's fair. Guys, do you guys think he really would want to stay here after this year, Chris?
Well, at the end of the day, the money matters, and
but he's gotten paid. But at some point, he's got to win if he wants to be an all-time great.
He's under contract till 2027 at this point.
Yeah, honestly, I don't. I'm probably going to say something that's going to shock all you guys, but I don't think it's a sell now moment. What I would do though is a little different than what other people would do, and other Browns fans would do. But I think that they can drag this on to the trade deadline, because I don't think it's time, in a week or whatever, 2 weeks to do this, because again, as bad as they've played, they're only 2 games out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, the AFC is not as strong.
Yeah, it's way early. There's so much more football to be played. I just think that they need to instantly either strip Kevin from play calling and have Dorsey just call it, or get rid of him and move in Vrabel. I think that's what I would do, and just try to see if we could, save the season and go on a little run. The main thing with me is, if people really genuinely believe that Jameis Winston can take these Browns and save them, I question their football intelligence.
Right.
Because
this dude came out there today and
hasn't saved anything.
No, he came out today and dropped a freaking snap. He couldn't even catch the snap.
He didn't even listen to he's gone from the Saints because they told him to kneel the ball and he handed it off. Last year.
Oh man, it's that bad. Oh,
I just don't understand these people. I've heard it and I've read it. Oh, just bring in Jameis Winston. It's like,
yeah, bring in the backup.
Yeah, for what?
The journeyman. Bring him in. He's gonna save the season.
Yeah, bring the 6-foot guy in too. Let's bring him in.
But I think that if the season ends up going the way I think it is, which they're going to end up benching Watson, and then they're going to end up, I would probably look to trade most of my assets. Like I would trade Denzel Ward. I would trade Nick Chubb. I would trade, other things. I wouldn't trade Myles Garrett, though.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, I don't want to
I
trade.
would probably keep him and Njoku. And other than that, no one else. And JOK. But everybody else, in my opinion, would be up for sale.
He said, I also think they're overcomplicating the offensive scheme. I heard they were running a similar Clemson offense in Houston when Deshaun was there, and now we have this monstrosity of an offense. Well, and not only that, but here's the thing where yeah, you brought in Ken Dorsey to bring that offense and to evolve it around Deshaun, but you didn't let the guy who brought the offense in call the plays for that offense. He's trying to call plays in an offense he's never called plays in before. And I don't care what you guys think about that, Dad, or Mike, or Gergs. I mean, how do you expect it to work if he's trying to call plays in an offense he's never called plays in before? And you bring in a guy to change the offense, but hey, you're not calling plays. And Jason Lloyd pointed out a couple weeks ago that he heard that what's his name? Ken Dorsey was kind of surprised by that he didn't get named the play caller. Dad?
Of course.
Well, like I said to you earlier, why do you even have Dorsey here then?
Exactly.
Why do you bring this guy in? Because you want to install a new offense, but this guy you brought in to install the new offense doesn't get to call the plays. It just doesn't. I don't understand that logic behind it. So, I mean, it's like if they would have brought in Schwartz, but not let him call the plays or call his defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
Just let some intern call the freaking plays. I mean, or tell the defense what they're going to run, and figure out the personnel. I just don't. I don't understand that. So there's just a lot of weird shit in this whole. I mean, I think a lot of it's in that front office. I think if I'm Jimmy Haslam, just from an outside, I'm firing that DePodesta. I'm getting rid of him. And then I'm probably going to get rid of, Stefanski and Barry are his guys. Stefanski, I just don't think he's an NFL coach. Maybe he's a good coordinator. I just don't think he's an NFL coach. The coach I keep going back to it. I can't say it enough. A coach, you know what a coach has to do? Not call plays, not do it. Coach, that's what they need to do is coach.
I agree with you, Ryan.
Just simply coach. It's so simple. Just simply coach. That's it. That's why just should not be drawing up plays. It's so simple to just lead. Just be a leader and coach. You know what I mean? Get out there and talk to your guys, inspire your guys. My gosh, maybe I should go try it. What the hell? I mean, the guys they make it so complicated. And you see the guys that do that. Yeah, Andy Reid calls plays and shit, but that guy's a coach, man. He coaches his guys. You could tell by the way his guys look at him. They talk about him on the sideline. I mean, just like this shit last year when Kelsey came off, it was in his ass, was in his coach's ass. I looked at that and I was like, man, Kelsey's an asshole. But just the way Andy Reid handled that, that's just great coaching, and they didn't go on to win a Super Bowl. So I mean, it's just, I just don't think Stefanski's that guy. I just don't think he gets these multi-million-dollar 100-mile-an-hour, combat mode. These type of men, I don't think he can get these guys up.
Dating back from last November, the start of December last year, the Browns have played 14 games, not including the preseason, and they've scored over 20 twice.
So it's safe to say that the Joe Flacco thing was a little bit overrated.
Well, I've told you that.
Explain why you think that.
Well, not even really.
Well, because the comment here is Andrew Berry messed up this whole team. We were awesome last year with Flacco. I can't understand why Stefanski can't fix Deshaun when every other quarterback has shined under him. Appreciate you, Ryan, for the comment.
Well,
Gert?
as I've been saying,
Agree with you wholeheartedly, Ryan.
You agree with him that Andrew Berry ruined the team?
No, I agree with him that he probably messed up the Flacco situation at this point.
Did he mess up the Deshaun trade too and the Elijah Moore trade?
The Deshaun trade, absolutely. The Elijah Moore trade, I mean, he's a wide receiver 3.
For a second round pick?
It was more or less a third round pick swap, but yeah.
There's been some good receivers in the draft. Go ahead, Chris.
Anyways, what I feel is, I was saying it last year while all of you were on the bandwagon of this team's good, this team has a Super Bowl shot, and every week I came on here and I told you guys pump the brakes because they're a product of who they've played. Yes, they've won games last year. They were winning games, but they were winning games based on what? Playing the likes of Clayton Tune and the Arizona Cardinals. Everyone beat the Arizona Cardinals last year.
And a great defense.
They played the New York Jets at home on a Thursday night. The Jets defense was good, yes, but their offense was anemic. They were terrible. They were absolutely dreadful. The game got away from them. And oh, by the way, they gave up on their season by that time. Then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I mean a banged up, busted up ankle of Trevor Lawrence, a bad team. It was a product of who they played. So of course you're going to think that they were a better team last year. But
and what happened, Chris, when it mattered most? What happened?
Well, they beat Houston, in the regular season, and then Houston came and just absolutely gave them a whooping and just absolutely destroyed them. But they beat one team, and that was that Houston team, in their last 14 games that was any good. And when they played them the most, when it mattered the most,
they shit the bed.
They got completely waxed by them. So you could say it was Flacco, you could say it was whoever you want, but the defense played the likes of Clayton Tune, Zach Wilson, and a bunch of bums, and that is what happens.
Not the Manhattan MILF Hunter.
It's just, the Denver Broncos beat them, for God's sakes, in December last year. I mean, we were acting like this team was some great team, but they were a product of who they were playing. And again, you can't help your schedule in the NFL. It is what it is. Injuries happen, yada, yada, yada. But as I told you guys last year, pump the brakes on this Browns to the Super Bowl garbage, because when they actually play playoff teams, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, and they looked very unprepared in that playoff game too, and it's been the same story this year.
Well, that's because they didn't belong.
Well, I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to that. Whose fault is that?
Well, you know who I think's fault's that. I mean, I've been saying it for two years. Stefanski's not that guy. Do I think he could be a good offensive coordinator in this league? He was good in Minnesota. He was good. But do I think that? I think, in my opinion, I think that you need football guys as your head coach. You don't need analytical guys as your head coach. I think you can have analytical guys as your coordinators. I think you could have them whatever if you want them in your front office. But I believe that you need in a locker room guys that are going to be willing to run through a wall for you. And that's not Stefanski. That's not Stefanski at all. And again, it's not just Stefanski. I mean, there's plenty of bad analytical head coaches in the league but I mean, you look at Sean McVay. I mean, guys, Sean McVay Matthew Stafford has no wide receivers right now. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua are all out. They have 3 of their starting offensive linemen on IR. But what do? They still go out. They beat the 49ers still a couple weeks ago. But they go out and they still compete. They're still competing. You guys can't even. I mean, it's not even. You're not even competing right now against teams.
And that goes to coaching.
Yeah, it's just McVay and all the really true good coaches. No matter how bad they have it with injuries or with any of that, they still compete. And I mean, even Brian Daboll. I mean, shoot, they went into Seattle today and won. I mean, they compete. And there's no way you can look at that Washington game today and think to yourself, they didn't even show up. They didn't even care to be there.
They quit.
Yeah, they didn't even care to be there.
They quit. They straight up quit. Shout out to Tommy, first time listener. Great show and appreciate everything you guys do. This is therapy for me. LOL. Param John says the Browns make me smoke weed every night. Yeah. Oh yeah. He said, I said earlier today we need to have tryouts on the streets, get some guys in here that are hungry and deserving of a contract. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe get some of these high school guys I watched Friday night. They're pretty good at the Walsh Open game. Yeah, I don't know. He said Deshaun is just a cancer on and off the field. Who knows? I mean, I don't know what's going on in that locker room, to be honest with you. He said the mystery quiz, who's pulling the strings, Mary or Jimmy? DePodesta, in my opinion. I'll go above that. I'll say DePodesta. Maybe Mike Vrabel will get a chance to coach. I would like to see that personally. I think Vrabel could get it done. Maybe the Browns should have Bill O'Brien. Should have hired Bill O'Brien. Yeah, but Bill O'Brien, he took the job at Ohio State, and then he got the head coaching job at BC because that's his alma mater, and he was going to get that job regardless. So,
but where's he at now?
Boston College. That's his alma mater.
Oh yeah.
Doing a good job this year for that where that program was, because I'm kind of familiar with that program because I know some people up there that are fans and stuff, and my family's from there. But he said this is a good show. I'm subscribing. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, dude. Thank you.
I've seen you guys actually put a lot of. I'm trying to keep up with the comments, guys. I'm sorry, sometimes we're in conversation. I'm getting locked in and writing stuff down, but I've seen a lot of nice comments about the show. I really appreciate you guys. Again, we're a young up and coming show. Been doing this for a couple of years now, but we want this to be raw, uncut for you guys, the fans. We're fans as well. We come here and say we want how we want it. Fans need a voice. That's why it's called The Real. We all have differences in opinion, but we're all good friends up here, brothers, good God, love each other, and we may get into arguments and stuff, but it's all good at the end of the day. It's nothing personal. Right, Mike?
Absolutely.
but shout out to my mom, Mrs. Labin. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Joy. Ryan said I would just cut Deshaun. Sam Sway, Denver. Same way Denver cut Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all Deshaun's fault. I'm kind of curious in what you were saying, Chris. I would maybe try to see what he could do maybe would let Dorsey call the plays and maybe ride that out.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that too. Like if you want to just see what that looks like. Yeah.
That is the factory of sadness.
You got to try something.
Right.
I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think they will. I think something is going to change. I just don't know what.
Yeah, but we'll get into that in a second. We'll finish up with that. But you know what time it is, Mike?
Watson. Hey, what?
The request lines are now open. KGFJ Soul Radio.
Request lines are open, guys. If you want to call into the show, again, I dropped the link in the chat. If you want to call in, you can call in right now. Call in and just state your name, where you're calling from, and leave. Just give maybe a minute take about, give your take on the team, what you think they should do, and then hang up the phone and we'll react to it. So again, call into the show right now. Give your take. 216-532-5550. What is it, Mike? Oh, Mike, you're supposed to.
It is 216-532-5550.
Call into the show right now. But
did you
to it? Back to what you were saying, Mike.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
Oh, I was saying, did you hear the drum roll? I did a drum roll.
What'd you say, Mike?
Oh, I was saying, did you hear the drum roll? I did a drum roll
Yeah,
for the
you were kind
Falcons.
of. No, I know it was my end.
Damn it.
He said Deshaun is only here for the contract. Never wanted to be in Cleveland. He has no heart. I've heard people on the show brought that up. I know Dan, you brought that up before.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we'll get to that. But Mike, going back, I'll start with you. We'll go around the table here. What should the Browns do? Should Kevin Stefanski give up play calling to Ken Dorsey, or should Kevin Stefanski fire Ken Dorsey and go back to his old system?
I mean, there's a myriad. I think this is a solvable problem. Like I'm down in the dumps like everybody, but I do think you could, like Chris was saying, I think there's plenty of time to solve the problem. And here you might not make the playoffs at this point, but you could still finish the year with a winning record, or at least like have things to build on, and at least you know what not to do next season. But I mean, something's got to happen. I agree that Stefanski. I was never really for Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator. I get that they had to bring someone in to
hold on one
tailor
second,
position.
Mike. Guys, am I in, or are you guys hearing the static?
What's that?
Is Mike?
I can't hear any static.
Yeah, nothing.
Is Mike sounding choppy to you guys, or is that just my end?
Your end.
It's your end.
All right, it's Mike. Mike, you keep going. I'll come out and come back in.
All right. So, kind of just what I was getting at is something's got to be done. I mean, either Stefanski has to give up play calling, let Ken call it, see what happens. I'm for going back to the old offense because even though maybe it wasn't tailored to Deshaun still looked way better in the previous offense than he did in this offense. His EPA was better. His QBR was better. The yards were better. Our points per game were better. Our third down percentage was better in the old offense. So maybe Deshaun just kind of has to suck it up, get under center a little bit more. If that's not going to work, if we did make a coaching change, I wouldn't be mad about Vrabel. I don't think it solves an issue immediately. I agree with what Chris said on that point, but I mean, if you're going to replace Stefanski with anybody, I think you could do way, 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 way worse than Mike Vrabel. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, something's got to change. And here, if I don't know if I don't expect them to like bench Deshaun immediately. And the only reason I would be okay with benching Deshaun is if they did go back to the old offense. Because if they don't do it and they try and run this out there with Jameis, I agree with everything Chris was saying. It's not going to work. Like, my point of emphasis was to say, if Deshaun is so gung-ho about doing this new offense, then either Ken Dorsey needs to call plays or they need to bench Deshaun and go back to the old offense, unless Deshaun just cedes that and says, okay, we can run the Kubiak style. But
are we really sure though, Mike? Are we really sure that Deshaun Watson was the one that wanted to push the change?
I mean, no one's sure. It's all speculation.
Because remember, he said he sat in the meeting with them when they met in Houston. He liked a lot of what Kevin was preaching about that offense. Yeah. And we saw him last year in the last two games where he got hurt against the Cardinals. I get it was bad, but still against the Cardinals and against that in that Baltimore game, it looked better in that offense with him in that offense than what we've seen in this.
Agree.
And so, and I bring this up because I pulled this article up again. I'll put it on the big screen here. It really makes me, because we're questioning everything tonight, right? We're looking all over throughout the whole organization, and I've brought this up on the show the last few weeks. What's been going on reminded me of this, and we get it ready here if I put it on the screen for you guys. This goes back to 2022. This is a report by Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports, right? Because a lot of you guys in the comments tonight have said, who's really in charge? Barry, Stefanski, I said maybe DePodesta. But who's making these? Who made Kevin Stefanski fire Alex Van? Because I don't really believe Kevin Stefanski wanted to fire Alex Van Pelt personally. I know he said he did. I don't see why Kevin would want to come off his offense like that when it's an offense that he's familiar with. in an offense that he's called his whole career, and he, like you said, Mike, has had some success here doing that. They made the playoffs at least with it. They were better than this. So, but again, going back to this right here, can you see it on the screen, Mike?
Yes.
Multiple NFL insiders have stated that Kevin Stefanski this is coming out of the 2022 season, Deshaun's first season here, when he was suspended for 12 games, came back to 6. Multiple NFL insiders have stated that Kevin Stefanski is safe as the Cleveland Browns will bring him back in 2023. However, CBS Sports' Jonathan Jones has stated that owner Jimmy Haslam may push for Stefanski to add an air raid specialist to his staff to meld his elite run game with a more explosive passing attack in 2023. And a lot of that, and going to Jonathan Jones's article, is because that year, Hendon Hooker at Tennessee, which is Jimmy Haslam's alma mater, he was fascinated with that air raid offense. He wanted that same stuff in college. Again, not the NFL, college, and what Tennessee did that year. He wanted that on the field here in Cleveland because he's an alumni there. As you can see there, and you can go, this is all over the internet. This is all over. You can find Jonathan Jones, a prominent reporter at CBS Sports, reported it, that he may push for Stefanski to add an air raid specialist. Now, looking back at that now, it seems like the air raid specialist was Ken Dorsey. But again, I don't know if Deshaun really wanted to push for this change like that. And I don't think Kevin Stefanski ever wanted to do that. And so, if Jimmy Haslam's the one pushing this stuff to happen, that is a major, major problem. Right, Dad? Am I right for that? I mean,
yeah, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, why would you even change the offense? I wasn't a fan. Here, if I take last year, I finished here. We made the. This is how I look at it. We made the playoffs. We got blown out that game. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna continue to stay with this head coach. Okay, now I'm gonna come back next year with everyone healthy, and hopefully everyone stays healthy, and see what happens. I don't, man. If you look at these guys, their contracts, where they're at in their contracts, to just install a new offense like that, the timing of it just did not seem very, very good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I just would have made some other tweaks. I just wouldn't change the whole.
I agree.
Yeah, right. I just wouldn't have. It's so drastic of a thing to do. And
the team built to do it. Like, we've been drafting players to do that style of offense, and signing players and training for players that do that style of offense. And
you could have expanded out of that offense in a different way than how they went about it.
Correct. Absolutely. Without changing.
Which is why which is why I'm saying, why are you calling plays at an offense that you're not really it's not what you've been successful in.
I agree. There could be a whole lot of frustration here. You know what? Maybe Stefanski's just pissed off about it, and so he's just. And
he should be.
And he's drawn. He's drawn a line in the sand by saying, you know what, I'm still calling plays, but that's also hurting the team because he don't know the offense. So, I'm gonna tell you what I would like to see this week is he doesn't call the plays. Dorsey calls the plays, and we see what the hell happens. And again, it's like you said. You're used to you're an Italian chef and you're trying to go do Mexican. You just can't. You can't do that.
Regardless of the offense, guys, the reason why they're not running the ball is because it's not being called.
Well, I know that.
Caller.
Well, I know that, but
he still is in charge of the play calling and the game flow.
Well, no, I don't want him in charge of the play calling. I want Dorsey in charge of the play calling. This offense. This is what I would do this week. This is what I do this week. I'm with you, Chris. It's not time to just blow everything up. We shouldn't be talking about that. but something has to change. So, and I think everybody agrees now the play calling is just horrible. It's atrocious. It's terrible. I'm sitting here watching I turn the Browns off and then I turn on another game and I feel like I'm watching professional football teams. I'm watching offenses that I'm used to for 47 years I've seen. You know what I mean? They're moving vertical, they're going down the field, they got flow, they got momentum. Yeah, I just don't see that with the Cleveland Browns. It just seems like a disorganized mess every week. So at this point, this is what I do going into week 5. All right, you're not calling plays now. Dorsey, you brought in this air raid offense. You're calling plays, and then I reevaluate. Next week after that game. So it's just what's happening. Stefanski's probably pissed off at Jimmy Haslam, and he's drawing his line in the sand. I'm still going to call the plays, and that's just not. That hurts the team.
Well, and I earlier I'm looking at I called out Stefanski. I'm saying, I get Bill Callahan left, but he was your run game coordinator. That means he was in charge of your running scheme, right? He was in charge of a lot of designing of the plays, right, of the whole running scheme. And I said, you brought in a guy from UConn last year. I don't even know his name, and he's never coached in the NFL before. And that's who you replaced Bill Callahan with. But it's like I keep going back to this with the ownership at the top. Why I put that up there? It's just like, I don't know who really has the say in all this. You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys think of that, Mike? I mean, I just don't know who really has all the say. We've been asking this question since we started this podcast 2 years ago.
And I don't think you'll ever get like a full answer. I mean, they always preach a collaborative effort, but it's always going to be just speculation. Now, now the more interesting question, in my opinion, would be if Stefanski does give up play calling this week, is it him decision, or is that
that's another great question.
coming from is that coming from somewhere else? So that would be
coming from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would think somewhere else because he didn't want to give it up to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I would think it's that's why I asked that. Who's really, because I don't think even Kevin, like you said, Dad, earlier, yeah, we can criticize Kevin run the ball more and all this and that. But when he was hired here, they said they were going to have an analytical probability guy in his ear and the play calling. Jimmy Haslam's going to review the game plan every week. His son-in-law, J.W. Johnson, is heavily involved in the organization. Paul DePodesta, who lives in San Diego, not even in the facility during the week. He showed up today at the game. That was a shocker. Big, I think he has more.
He had to hang out with Magic Johnson.
Oh, of course. I'm sure Magic just wanted to see him. He lives in San Diego. Not he's on your payroll as a higher position guy in the organization. He's never in the facility during the week, but it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Jersey, what do you think about all that? I mean, it's just.
Oh, there's certainly
the dysfunction. We can talk about coaching changes, quarterback changes. It's never going to matter.
It's not
this dumpster fire.
That's why I don't blame the players. That's why I'm saying it's Stefanski and above. I don't care what players you have. You could have a Pro Bowl player. You could have a Hall of Fame player at every position. If you have that kind of dysfunction and structure, or they're just the structures out of place from the coach up, it's never going to work. And that's clearly that's the problem. It's from Haslam down to Stefanski. There's some kind of issue there. It's not, and really here the ultimate blame goes to Haslam. He's the owner, and he's involved. He's, you know what I mean. You see, he's involved in shit. I don't care that he's got the Columbus Crew. I don't care he's got his Flying J's. The dude's involved. He's involved with the shit. So, and for an owner to sit there and say, "Well, I want an air raid," dude, just own the team and shut up. You know what I mean? It's like it goes back to what we always say, like coaching a football game from outer space. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Go run your gas stations. Stay the hell out of football operations because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get rid of DePodesta. I'm gonna go get someone up there, a president of football operations or a GM, somebody that actually knows football, a football mind. You know what I mean? And let them make the decisions. Get this analytics shit out the window. That's not how football's supposed to be played. You can't. It's just we're going to run
be
it
the
off
foundation of your franchise.
No, it can't. It's just a tool. It's data is just something that can help you make decisions. It shouldn't be what's running your team, and that's why I don't blame the players. I'm gonna say it again. I don't blame Watson. I don't blame any of the players. You can't. It's just like if what I do, if the store was selling 20 cars a month, that's my fault. It's my fault. I couldn't blame any of the guys. And whatever which way our results end up at the end of the month, no matter what it is, it goes back to me. You know what I mean? It goes if it goes back to me. My job is to make sure, I'm getting everyone to perform at their highest level and do the absolute best job they can. That's my job. You know what I mean? And make sure that the team is working well together. And this just isn't happening. No player in that offense is playing well, and they're all they're quitting. Every one of them's quitting. And then what's going to happen now is the defense is going to start quitting. So then you got to start worrying about the Myles Garrett contract. I mean, they have got to stop that bleeding now. I mean, right now, and make some kind of change this week. They have got, or they're going to lose all these. I mean, you still got a lot of great guys there. There's still a future if you can find a way to correct that. But again, it could go back to Haslam's. Maybe the Haslam's are just freaking idiots. You know what I mean? I mean, they're just idiots. Just not good owners.
Well, I think that I guess I just have one question for all the people that say that it's Watson, it's Watson, it's Watson. Did they watch the defensive side of the ball today?
It's not good this year, not as good as it was last year.
Did you watch the defense quit today?
I did.
Is that Watson's fault too? I just, you can blame Watson for whatever you want to blame him on, but the defense has stunk this year. Stunk. And they gave up today. That team quit today. And what do you think that's just because of Watson?
Got nothing to do with Watson.
Exactly. And it's just like, so we can harp on Watson and we could do this. And again, I'm not sitting here saying Deshaun Watson deserves to go to the Pro Bowl or anything like that. He has played bad this year, but my argument is it doesn't matter who you put in there right now. It's dysfunction and it's not good. But the players have quit on this team. They've quit on this team. I mean, you just lost to a rookie. You just got put up 34 points to a rookie, and oh, by the way, he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's all you need to know is the players. That's how you take the temperature. What their body language, their demeanor. They don't quit on each other. They quit on the coaches. That's who they quit on. They don't quit on each other. Miles isn't quitting on JOK and Denzel Ward and Joe Petonio. They don't quit. I mean, the players are banded together.
And if that was going on in the locker room, if there was a guy, a rotten egg in the locker room, his ass would have been out of here already.
Right. It's players don't quit on. They quit on their coaches. And when that happens, it's just like it goes again. I'm gonna keep using what I do. I was always told we got talented people. If they lose, I mean, if they don't perform well or they quit, it's our fault. It was the coaches, all the coaches. It was our fault. If they leave or they don't perform well, it's our fault. Or if we're not growing people that have talent, it's our fault. So it's the same with football.
If you're playing a team that scores over 20 points, the Cleveland Browns, you're losing.
Right.
You're losing.
It's not Watson. And when they showed up in that playoff game last year and was physically there but nothing else, that Watson had not played in 6 games, 7 games?
He was out for the year.
Whose fault was it?
Joe Flacco's the answer.
Whoever's fault that was in that playoff game, it's whose fault it is today. So
or letting Chad Henne beat you.
I'm just saying, whoever's fault it was in that playoff game.
We could take it back 4 years prior, letting Chad Henne beat you.
I just think it goes back to the fact that the Browns just can't ever live up to expectations. Last year, they went to the playoffs, but no one expected them to. And when they got there, everyone now then instantly said, oh, the Browns may be able to win a Super Bowl. Their defense is legit. And then they fell flat on their face. They couldn't live up to the expectation. Going into this season, they couldn't live up to the expectation. They haven't been able to live up to any expectation, period, ever, I think.
I'm more comfortable with a whistle than a calculator.
So you need, maybe it's not Stefanski. I think that Stefanski belongs in a front office more than he belongs on a sideline. I've said that for years. He just reminds me of a guy that doesn't belong on a sideline. I don't see emotion from him.
I don't think he can be a head coach and a play caller. I think that's his biggest problem. I think he's better off just being a play caller or one or the other.
You have to have it as a head coach, in my opinion. And I just don't think he has it. I don't think he has that leadership, the intangibles of getting guys behind you, and I don't know. I just can't believe the Washington Commanders put up 34 and sat their quarterback with 14 minutes left in the game. That's just terrible. I mean, that's just
Dan
that's
said
just
a front office
fun.
of an enterprise rent-a-car, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I got to go.
Mike, you want a final statement, Mike, before you get out of here?
I know we've been relatively negative this show, but Browns fans, head up. Change is coming one way or another. And, I still got faith. It's very minimal, but it's still there.
Minimal.
Mike, tell them why need to come back next week. They can see you too, bud.
You gotta subscribe, share. We appreciate everybody chiming in the live chat tonight. It has been really great to see so many new people chatting in. Really helps drown out Dan Malot's comments. So I really recommend that everybody continuously chime in, because the less I see his name pop on the screen, the happier of a person I am altogether. So as we move forward through the season, get some new subscribers, absolutely call Dan out. I want you to do that. Absolutely comment in, tell Dan Malott he's a bad person with bad shoes. And you gotta like and subscribe, because we're just a couple of guys, couple of fans like everybody else talking about foosball. My name is Mike Antonace. I am a co-host on the show. Joseph Latman is your host of The Reel with Joseph Latman. Thank you so much, Tommy, for
Yep,
talking
yes,
to us
sir.
tonight. We greatly appreciate it. And and I forgot to introduce Jersey and Chris. They need to get pictures on their profiles so we can see their beautiful faces. But like, subscribe, share. We greatly appreciate it. If you want to read some nice, fun articles, you can find me on roundtablesports.net. We write a bunch of cool sports articles there. So that's roundtablesports.net. And yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Have a good
All
week,
right, Mike. Appreciate you,
Yeah,
Mike.
Mike.
Go
See you,
check him
Bob.
out, roundtablesports.net. Sir Anthony's writing his articles. Later, Mike. Appreciate it, buddy. Guys, we'll wrap it up, the three of us. We've kind of hit on a lot where we think they should go from here. We'll get him next year, Mike. Dan said. The more you guys watch the show, you'll see there's always like a little battle between Dan and Mike. Healthy battle. We're all friends, like I said. We're all good like brothers. But we do get in some heated debates on this show sometimes. Or my Jersey be going off on Mike. Those are always some good ones. Those are probably the best ones because they get real loud and heated. But anyways, we'll wrap up with this, guys, and you guys leave it all in the comment section. What happens this week? Anything? Something? What do you guys think happens this week? Jersey, I'll start with you. And leave your everybody put in the comment right now. What do you think is going to happen this week? We'll put it up here. We'll go through it. We'll see. We'll come back next week and see what happens. But go ahead, Jersey.
I'm going to say something's going to happen. It's just, my gosh, what I think. I think here's what I think you might see is you start to hear Vrabel's name. You start to all of a sudden he's got a role. He's maybe taking over operations. I don't. You start to hear his name more. I don't know.
Let me put out a note real quick. Kevin Stefanski emphatically said after the game today, Deshaun Watson will not be benched. Just want to throw that out there. That's what Kevin said. But keep putting in the comments if you don't mind. Keep going, Jersey.
Yeah, well, I think Kevin Stefanski knows who's going to go. He knows it's not going to be the quarterback. It's going to be him. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You might see him part ways. Something has to change, man. I don't hear it. They might just say, "Hey, play calling is not enough." I mean, here's the other thing: we don't really know what are these players saying. I mean, that's what that front office. That's what Jimmy Haslam's listening to. Is what are the players saying? Because that dictates every move they're going to make. If the players aren't happy as a whole, they got to make the change. And they got to do it right now. So and they know what the players are saying. They know who the players are blaming. So it's obvious. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the hell they do. You can't. It's like with the Cleveland Browns. You just don't know what the hell they're going to do.
Chris?
So,
well, my prediction is they do nothing, and they get beat again next Sunday versus the Eagles.
So nothing. You think they just run it back again this week?
I think there's going to be talk, but nothing. Just talk's talk. You know how that is. Yeah. And so I think you'll hear talk about this and that, and you'll hear Mary run her mouth, say how her source tells her this and her source tells her that.
Let them gel, she said. It needs time to gel.
But at the end of the day, I think that nothing happens but another L, because there's no way they're beating Philly. And that's with Watson, Jameis, DTR, Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't freaking matter. They're not beating Philly next week. And that's another And then we'll be here next Sunday talking about what they should do again.
Yeah,
That's our prediction.
Yeah, pretty much. And no shot at her. She's a prime reporter, respect, but it's beyond just needing gelled, in my opinion. But go ahead.
No,
Chris.
I think she sucks. But
yeah, well, that's Chris's opinion.
God bless you. This is not Joe's opinion or the show's opinion. This is strictly mine.
It's all good.
But yeah, I think that she's long overdue of retiring. But anyways, I do like Zach Jackson. I think that dude's legit. But
yeah, I met him in person. He's my old high school coach Dan Larum and him are good friends, and he came up and talked to us at after practice one day. It was a really nice guy, and he does a nice job reporting. But go ahead.
Yeah, I've actually met him myself before back in my drinking days in 2007. I actually would sit out in the back porch with my buddies, and Zach Jackson would come over and we would drink beer and talk sports. So
that's funny.
Yeah, but so yeah, I definitely like his stuff, but that's neither here nor there. But again, my prediction
Shout out to Zach.
My prediction is nothing's going to happen. Browns are going to lose, and we'll be back on next Sunday talking about how they should fire Stefanski and have Mike Vrabel as the coach.
Yeah, when I listened to Deshaun today and I listened to Kevin in the post game, I think they're going to go one more week with this. I didn't think that after the game, but the more I've thought about it, I think there's a deadline to this experiment. I think they've been given a point, and I think it's till next week because next week is week 6. So I think there was a deadline put on this experiment this year, and if it's not working by certain week, I think that's when they'll make a change that they may have already planned up their sleeve. Now, what that change is, I don't know. We don't even know who's really calling the shots. So,
I just love the.
But I do think that the seats and the chatter will be as hot as ever this week.
I do love how everyone's like, oh, they switched their offense. They fire Dorsey. Who's the freaking people that hired Dorsey? They knew what offense he ran.
And he's not calling the plays.
Yeah, and he's not even calling the plays. He's not calling run plays versus pass plays or anything like that. He has a new system, which, by the way, if you didn't like that system, guess what? Why did you hire him?
Hey, I got to hop off. My phone's dying.
I'll see you later.
I'll see you tomorrow.
So that's where I'm at with that talk. We need to fire Dorsey. Why? So you can fire somebody else and blame
fire
them?
for what? Yeah. Fire him from showing up and trying to do his job? I mean,
yeah,
you never gave him a shot to do his job.
Fired him for bringing in a system that they hired him for.
Yeah, that clearly, going back to this, I mean, you wanted him here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It don't make any sense.
I think we need to fire Dorsey for bringing in the system that we brought him here to bring.
Yeah, and we never let him call the system.
Yeah.
Like, it don't make any sense. It just that's why I went on my rant in the beginning of the show and I was going off as hard as I would because it's just like guys, how do we not as fans? You got to start holding these people accountable and let them know. You got to. I mean, it's like we're giving certain people passes. I feel like you know what I mean. That we want to blame it all on Watson, blame it all on one person. But I don't think it matters who we put in here. It's just bad.
The Browns fans that liked Stefanski only like him because they've made the playoffs under him as a coach. That's their only reasoning. They don't see the bigger picture. They just see the fact that, oh my God, we've sucked for so long. So this guy actually was the head coach when we made the playoffs. They don't look into it any deeper, give it any more deep thought about who they've played or what's happened in the situation. That none of that. They don't think any of that. They just simply say to themselves, well, we made the playoffs under him. Who gives a freaking crap? The object isn't to make the playoffs. The object is to win a Super Bowl.
Multiple playoff games. You got to win a year in and year out.
And you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Kevin Stefanski as your head coach. You're not doing it. Not with those play calling. Not with that play calling.
And here, he might have reached. I think when I see Kevin now, he did a good job in some ways, but when they hired him in 2020, they took over a mess. They cleaned it up, I think, in a good way. They made the playoffs next year. That was a good success in 2020. But I feel like he's reached his peak as a coach, like you said. I just feel like, when you get to certain, like, go back to when, I don't know, when Michael Jordan when they had Doug Collins as his coach, right? They reached a peak and they had to make a change, and they had to make the change was right, because I think, and it's using it as an example, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're at a point now where they've hit a peak with this, and it's time to upgrade to somebody that could take them all the way.
The 03 Pistons, we had, we had Rick Carlisle as our coach. Great coach.
Great coach.
We fired him and brought in Larry Brown. Guys that have done it before. You know what I mean?
And that wasn't the most talented roster either with that Pistons team.
No, and they went up against, the
mighty Lakers.
Yeah, with Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Kobe, Shaq. Meanwhile, we had, a 5'8" center in Ben Wallace. It's just, there's coaches that can take you to a certain point, but then there's also that next level.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta be able to see that. And like I said earlier, we're not talking about a guy that inherited a team and it's his first year. So it's like, this is his fourth year.
This regime created this team.
Yes, exactly. So if you're upset about the product that is on the field, it's not Deshaun Watson's fault.
No, and going back to the regime before them, like I said at the beginning of the show, hey, yeah, John Dorsey may not have identified a head coach, but John Dorsey nailed some. He could identify talent. He identified stars, franchise pillars.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Patrick
now,
Mahomes.
and you know where John Dorsey's been now? Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? It's look how good like you're a Detroit fan. We talk about it all the time. Look how good they are. I mean, it's just like I think this year they're still got the defense. They got to figure it out, and they'll separate themselves. I expect them to, because I trust their coach. But again, that guy fired him, ran him out of town. We brought it and replaced it with, what we replaced it with, and the results thus far, like you pointed out, Dan's pointed out on the show, it's looking back at it, it's just not great. I mean, the percentage isn't high, of hitting home runs and the draft and trades, and even people that want to blame Watson. I mean, you got to, if you by that logic, I mean, they're the ones that brought him here. They're the ones that made the trade. They got to take some accountability for that by that logic, right? I mean, how would you trust them to get it right again?
I think that what I would do is hire Vrabel. But
right, you got him in the building. He's from Ohio.
Yeah,
another kid from Akron that's got to come save the Cleveland franchise again. I think Vrabel could get it done. I know there was some chat in the comments tonight that some people aren't high on Vrabel. I think Vrabel is good with this modern NFL. Vrabel understands players. I know about Vrabel, a lot of his background. Him and my mom and some of her friends, they knew each other. I know Vrabel's background. I know where he comes from. And you can just look at his pedigree, where he went in college, from Walsh to the Ohio State success to New England. The dude knows how to manage NFL players. He knows how to manage a team.
So
he's a dog.
Let the position coaches coach their positions and coach the players, and give your head coach, have them manage the players.
He's your Dan Campbell.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Your staff matters. And as a head coach, you got to be able to get your guys ready and lead your men. And as far as the X's and O's and stuff like that, leave that to your coordinator, leave that to your D coordinator, leave that to your quarterback coach, your wide receiver coach, your running back coach. You have a staff for a reason. But when you want to try to be bigger than what you are, in my opinion, with Stefanski, and call the plays, but at the same time, I just think it's not a recipe for success.
No, and it doesn't work in certain markets either. Like, you can do that in LA. The reason why McVay's had success in LA because they're the LA market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Detroit, you know why Detroit's so good? Because Detroit understands who they are, and
they've embraced this. Yes,
embrace the city. And I think when you're in a Detroit, a Cleveland type market, in Pittsburgh, we're watching right now with Mike Tomlin, what he's done, he's never had a losing season. I think that type of coach and those type of roles dispersed, like you said, that type of structure is more necessary in a market like ours than any other market.
And and just to
You
make
kind of
up a
have to run
point,
it like a college because drafting and development is so key in your market that you have to set it up like that. You know what I mean? In order to maximize the team.
The last 3 years, speaking on the Steelers, the last 3 years, what have we heard? Fire Mike. Steeler fans wanting to get rid of Mike Tomlin. They understand the bigger picture. Hey guys, it's not just about making the playoffs. He's not been able to make it, to the AFC Championship in years.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? We need to make a change for that next step. And it's just amazing to me how the Browns can't figure it out, that it's not just about getting there and getting beat 41-14. It's about how can we build on the success. And I just don't.
And Justin Fields said it on the Cam Hayward's podcast, how just the difference in coaching, how much it's helped him, and not saying Justin Fields is an all pros here, but he revitalized his career in a way. He's showing he can be he's a winning, serviceable quarterback. He's doing what's necessary. And they're 3-1, and they might go on to 4-1. Culture, coaching. You could take a guy like Fields and make him a starter again, and he can gain his confidence back. And I wouldn't be surprised if Fields is playing at a different level by week 11 if they keep this up.
Oh yeah. And when Watson's gone from Cleveland, someone will pick him up and he will be just fine.
Yeah, he'll be Justin Fields at least.
Yeah,
which is serviceable.
And at the end of the day, that's just what it is, But people that say Quinn Ewers and stuff like that, guys, it'll ruin their careers.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
This system is going to just ruin their career, because when you get sacked 7 times, I don't care who you are, but if you're a rookie, it's going to weigh on you. It's going to beat you up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and our quarterback's got hit 26 times already this year, and he's a veteran. So
yeah,
that's a problem. But
so you can't, and people who think that Sanders is going to come here just makes me laugh.
He's going to Miami or Vegas. They've already said it. Hell, Deion said it on Shay Shay's Club Shay Shay this week. Pretty much.
There's no chance Sanders is coming to Cleveland. He will pull an Eli Manning.
Yeah, 100. They've already said it. And yeah, he's going to Miami or Vegas. I mean,
a name that I would watch out for, though, if they do fire Stefanski and then they give Vrabel, and Vrabel doesn't show himself this year, it wouldn't surprise me if Jimmy goes to his alma mater and gets Heupel.
Ooh. He has been rumored to some NFL team. I think he's been interviewed by some NFL teams, hasn't he?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think that one, and Antonace told me on the phone today, he would go after your guys' boy, Ben Johnson.
Well, who wouldn't? But Ben Johnson has declined multiple jobs because it's not the right situation, and trust me, he'll decline.
Well, and going back to what I just said too, yeah, I mean, you don't want to, but going back to what I said too, I don't think we need another head coach as a first time head coach and a play caller. I don't think that's the right setup here.
I agree
with our market. Like I said, I think we need to go for more, maybe the Heupel, maybe the Vrabels of the, I think that's where we need to go, in my opinion. Take the Detroit model. And your most important hire probably will actually be your OC. Because I think I don't think Schwartz should be fired. I think Schwartz will be fine going forward. I think this whole situation is bad right now, and everything looks bad. But I think a refreshment. I still believe in Schwartz. I think he'll be just fine. I think get some, like my dad said, maybe get somebody better upstairs drafting and more of a or maybe another president of football operations that can identify maybe talent on both sides of the ball better. Dan said Mike McCarthy will be available.
You don't want him.
Yeah, we interviewed him back in 2020, and they declined on that. But that's interesting. That's a good name you brought. I didn't think of that. Yeah. What's it, Josh? Is it Heupel or?
Yeah, Heupel. Yeah,
Heupel. Yeah, that's an interesting one because they lost yesterday too. Yeah, that's interesting. And a lot of guys in college are trying to get out and go to the NFL because of all this NIL stuff. And that's a good one. Well,
but
Chris,
I'd give Vrabel the reins for the rest of the year to see kind of where I'm at there. But
you brought him here. I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm.
See what he's got. I agree. But well, Chris, any final remarks before you get out of here, my friend?
Go Lions.
Go Lions. All righty. Well, I appreciate it, Chris. So we'll see you next week.
See you, buddy.
See you. All right, you guys. Thanks for staying in this long. Again, longer show tonight, just because it's the game today. Everybody's emotional. He said, "Wow, you take a tough loss and you freak out. You have another game next week. Get over yourself." Maybe we are overreacting, but I mean, 1-4 and the way they look, and I don't know if it's much of a overreaction. I mean, I appreciate your fandom, but we'll see you next week. I the bet we'll probably be back here next week at 1-5. I don't know how anybody can look at this right now and not be saying. I mean, pretty much everybody in the comments tonight, besides that one person, has said, there needs to be major changes. This is you can't watch this and say it's the react. It's not working. All right, it's not working. There's nowhere this is going to go. You're 1-4. Your team looks flat. You guys are quitting. Your quarterback's walking off the field today. You're the most penalized team in the league. You guys look out of shape. This is a disaster. So yeah, it's definitely time to abandon ship on this experiment. But anyways, appreciate you guys for tuning in today, and I appreciate all the new subscribers. You guys put in the comments you love the show. I appreciate that. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff, and share this content. Spread the word. We want to see you guys back here next week. Hit the link. Come on in and join us on the show. We'd love to hear your guys' opinion. If you disagree, come on up here. You don't forget to comment. Come on up here and say it and give your opinion. We love to interact with you guys in a healthy way. Again, this is just a fandom. We want this to be for you guys, for fans, no matter what your opinion is. We all disagree. It's fine. It's okay. It's life. It's okay to disagree with people. But, we want this to be an open platform for you guys and to come up here and share your opinion, vent, and stuff like that. Let's see. He said, we effing always give up so quickly. Damn it, guys. Well, I don't know, man. This shit looks bad. Train wreck, bro. Yeah, I would say. I mean, Dan, anybody still there? I mean, I think this is a train wreck. Why is it not a train wreck? I mean, did you see anything positive today out there in that game or anything this first 5 weeks? I didn't. I'm not saying I'm not one of these. We even sat up here tonight for the last almost 3 hours. We're not saying it's time to blow everything up and sell the team or fire sale everything. It's just the way between Kevin and Deshaun and the way it's set up right now with Ken Dorsey, it's clearly not working. That is a train wreck in itself because it's leading you down a road that's a road to nowhere. You're just dying a slow death. So they need to make a change, something better. I don't know what it is. We discussed it tonight for 3 hours. What that change will be, I don't know. But if you guys think this should keep up the way it is, I wouldn't expect any success in the near future. What we've seen today and the way the structure is right now. Yeah, exactly. I'm up for any changes. Something got to give. I just want to win. Exactly. Appreciate you, Tommy, for tuning in tonight, my friend. We'll see you next week in the next one. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone.